What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday, December 21st. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. You can stream it up over there. You got your Google and Alexa home devices, the app, and the video stream that's up and rolling right now, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Happy Thursday. Appreciate you making us part of your start. Just a few days away from Christmas. Maybe some of you getting ready for a little bit of an extended vacation over there too. But hey, what do we got on the game plan for us this morning? We're going to hit up a bunch of different things. We've got some Brewers chat to get to. Brewers making a trade yesterday with their former general manager, David Stearns. Brewers trading pitcher Adrian Hauser and outfielder Tyrone Taylor to the New York Mets for one of their pitching prospects, Coleman Crow. Coleman Crow was originally with the Angels, was dealt with package with Escobar and such, but Coleman Crow also recovering from Tommy John surgery. The very earliest that potentially could see him would be halfway through the season. But the thing is, too, don't expect him to be at the major league level because that's why we use the word prospect. He was in Double A as of late to his last outing, where he was off to a really good start. 2-0, 1.88 ERA, 31 strikeouts in 24 innings. He has now joined the Brewers' top 30 prospect list, coming in at number 25. Matt Arnold saying he can really spin a breaking ball. Also praised his athleticism and bulldog mentality. He has a lot of ingredients to have a chance to be a really productive major league starter, and those are very hard to find. So the Brewers, moving on from a couple guys that would be on the major league roster for this upcoming season, guys that could help the team now, moving on from them, going a little bit more of a future type of pick here. So anybody who isn't necessarily buying the quote-unquote rebuild sort of thing, this is probably a little bit more of evidence towards that fact, right? I mean, if you're looking at it, starting pitching rotation, you got Burns, you got Peralta, Wade Miley, easily your top three. Then maybe 4, 5, kind of up in the air. Could be Colin Ray. Maybe Aaron Ashby, what's going to be the plan for him? Are they going to try to put him into a starter role again or bring him back coming out of the bullpen? Goss over there too. So that might be something right now to watch when we get to spring training here in a few months, is to see how that back end of that rotation for the Brewers is going to play out now that Adrian Hauser is on the move. So, and plus we knew about the outfield depth after, Jackson Cheerio getting signed, probably going to be making an appearance at the major league roster at some point, probably earlier this upcoming season. You got Sal Frelick, you got Joey Weimer, you got Christian Yelich, and those spots were getting thin. So now Tyrone Taylor also on the move, opening up one of those spots for one of those younger players. But we'll talk some Brewers coming up a little bit later on here. Get your reaction, thoughts on the trade yesterday. Also, signing day, as we noted a little bit yesterday for the Badger football team. 22 players signed letter of intents to join the Badgers. Badgers even flipping a couple of players over there. Rob Booker. Remember last year we were talking about this tight end out of Wanakee? Originally went to the Badgers, or was going to commit to the Badgers, and he went to UCLA, or said he was going to go to UCLA. Well, Badgers flipped him back to come over to Wisconsin. So he's back in. He signed his letter of intent. They got a couple of 4-star running backs, 9 total 4-star recruits coming in here, including Ernest Willer Jr., a defensive lineman that they're pretty high on right now. The number 1 ranked defensive lineman out of the state of Maryland coming over there too. So, but we'll take a look at this. Plus, Ches Malusi announcing that he will be coming back next year. So Badgers do have a couple of 4-star running backs coming in. Luke Fickell yesterday saying that, hey, those running backs could play early. A lot of the younger running backs could play early in their collegiate careers. But got to imagine that Luke Fickell and his staff probably feeling a little bit good that Ches Malusi is going to come back and have a little bit of a veteran presence back there too. So, but we'll take a look at this class here again. Yesterday they came in ranking number 22 according to 24/7 Sports. That's still where they're at right now. The composite rank is at 22, but there's some intriguing players there. If you are a diehard Badger fan right now, and you're kind of following along with this class, is there a player, a prospect that has you maybe a little bit more excited, or you're really excited to see? Maybe it's Dylan Jones, the running back. Badgers, they're two of their top prospects coming out of the state of Maryland over there, Dylan Jones and Ernest Willer. Is it maybe Booker, the tight end, or Xavier Lucas, safety coming out of Florida? They had to kind of fight off a little bit from the U, Miami, to keep him over there too. So, but let me know. Hit me up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. We'll talk some Badger football. Hoops-wise, Bucks are back in action tonight, taking on the Orlando Magic. Bucks wrapping up their extended homestand here, looking for their sixth straight win, 21st overall, going up against the Magic. After tonight, they will hit the road here for a little bit, including back-to-back games against the Knicks Saturday and then Monday on Christmas. They'll be taking on the Knicks on Christmas Day, and a quick trip over to Brooklyn and then Cleveland. So, but last game here for a little, they got a hot minute. They make a quick stop back at home on January 1st on New Year's Day to take on the Pacers, which, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit of a rivalry brewing, because after that Pacers home game in Milwaukee, they travel to Indiana on the third too. So a little back-to-back action there as well. But we'll hit up this Bucks game, taking a look at their matchup against Orlando. Orlando just losing last night to Miami. Orlando was off to a really good start in the first quarter of the regular season here. In fact, they were as high as number 2 in the standings not that long ago. They've dropped down to 4 right now, behind Boston, Milwaukee, Philly. They've lost 3 in a row, and they're just 5-5 in their last 10. Milwaukee remaining just 1 game back from Boston. But they'll inch it a little bit closer if they can get that W tonight against the Orlando Magic. The Minnesota Timberwolves snapped their winning streak last night. The Philadelphia 76ers snapped the Timberwolves winning streak last night. 76ers 127-113. Joel Embiid dropping 51 points, 12 rebounds for the reigning MVP. Timberwolves 20-6 overall, still on the season right now. So still would be a lot of fun. I know it's a lot of hoops to be played, a lot of basketball to be played yet, but it'd be pretty darn cool to see a T-Wolves and Bucks finals. Just say that would be pretty. That'd be pretty sweet to check that out. So, but Badger basketball, they've got their game coming up tomorrow night against Chicago State before a little bit of break, and then the Big Ten portion of their schedule really kicks in after that. No, they had the one game against Michigan State, but now we get straight up Big Ten teams coming up on their schedule. So we'll hit up some hoop stock coming up here. And speaking of college hoops too, some kind of got a little bit of upsets last night here. The night before we had a couple of interesting upsets. Last night, if you go numbers wise, Duke was ranked 21st, Baylor was ranked 10. Duke got the victory. Seton Hall upsetting number 5 UConn 75-60. And rankings wise, technically, UNC number 11 defeating number 7 Oklahoma 81-69 last night. So, and then Creighton falling to Villanova in overtime. Creighton was ranked 12th in the country. Villanova beating them. So we had some upsets last night. In the world of college hoops. So we'll take a look at some hoop stock. we got outdoor tidbits with Jake. Well, we'll get to him about 8:30 this morning. So send your questions on over for Jake. Hit us up with those texts on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Again, that number 715-830-1912. We've got a little receive or defer coming at you as well. Maybe we'll throw a little green and gold chat in there as well. Packers returning to practice yesterday. Devondre Campbell did not participate. Elton Jenkins did not participate. Jaden Reed, Darnell Savage, and Christian Watson also did not participate. So Emmanuel Wilson, the running back, was designated to return. He practiced yesterday, so his 21-day practice window is officially open. Devondre Campbell kind of talked to the media a little bit, but he would not address his tweet saying, I'm not answering no questions about nothing that happened on the internet. I want to talk about the Panthers, we can, but I ain't answering no questions about nothing on the internet. So there you have it. Yeah. And Matt LaFleur talked a little bit about it, wouldn't dive into their conversation, but they're giving Devondre Campbell the week to hopefully get his body back. But I don't know how much a week will actually benefit him. So, but hey, let's get things going here this morning. We got a few things to hit up on, right? Let's talk a little Brewers with that trade. I want to talk a little bit about this Badger recruiting class coming in. Really, Luke Fickell's first legit, first real recruiting class as head coach for the Badgers. These are his guys. This is his coaching staff's guys. These were the guys they worked to get to bring over to Madison and such. And it's a big class too, considering Big Ten expanding next year, right? USC, Oregon, all those teams coming in. Conference is going to get a lot harder. Going to get a lot harder. Going to get a lot better. That's going to force Wisconsin to get a lot better. And let's face it, maybe recruit a lot better too. So I want to talk some Badger football with this recruiting class coming up here too. So lots to get to here. Let's just get things rolling here. We'll take that first break, and then coming up on the leadoff, we'll get her going on this Thursday morning. A few days away from Christmas. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Get those questions in for Jake Bolks, our outdoor or our DNR one for our outdoor tidbits at 8:30. Ran into him at Hy-Vee last night. He will be on today unless something obviously pops up. But if you got any questions for Jake, hit us up with a quick text at 715-830-1912. He was shopping with his two little ones getting ready for a birthday party.
Oh, good. I was going to say, was he buying meat? He didn't get any venison?
No, he was getting ready for a birthday party. So
good for him. Good for him. I was out last night too. My oldest son is home on leave from the Army for Christmas. And so I said, well, where do you want to go for supper tonight? He said, I want to go to Ray's place and have a hot beef. So we went out on Ray's place down on Water Street, had a hot beef, sat at the end of the bar, talked to Ole. Of course, you know Ole's over there. And busy place last night, Wednesday night, trivia night at Ray's. And I'm telling you what, we had all we could do to find a couple of bar stools.
Good deal.
But we crawled up there, had one of those delicious hot beefs, and my goodness, it's a big sandwich, and it is a good sandwich.
Yes, I love the old school.
Yep, you bet.
Home style over there.
He wanted to go. He said, well, let's go down to Ray's place.
Nice. You had to be a proud dad after that response.
I was a full dad, too, because I'll tell you, that sandwich fills you up.
How long is your son back in
He'll be
leave
here
for?
till just before New Year's. He'll be driving back to, well, he's at Fort Liberty. It used to be Fort Bragg in North Carolina. They changed all the names, so he's down at Fort Liberty. So drove home, so he's here for the holidays. So nice to have him home.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So, all right, let's get going here this morning. Let's actually talk a little Badgers because a couple of you asked the same question. Josh and Eric asked the same question. What was the last time the Badgers had these many 4-star recruits? I looked back. The latest one was actually, because I thought 9 was a high number too. 2021, they actually had more. That was the Braylon Allen recruiting class over there in 2021. They had 10, it looks like. Again, every site's different with your 4 stars, 5 stars. We like to use the 24/7. That's the one that usually gets the most pub over there. But it was 2021 when they had the 16th ranked recruiting class in the country at that point. But Braylon Allen is the big one out of that class. So they have had it in recent history, but it's still 9 4-star recruits and just the 22nd ranked class. And yesterday we were kind of looking at it in terms of the Big Ten. Still only like the 8th one in Big Ten because you got USC coming, you got Oregon coming, all the UCLA.
Oregon, I think, was 3 or something like that.
Yeah, so they're up there too, and of course Ohio State is going to be up in there and in the rankings and such. So it's going to be a little bit tougher.
And as we've seen so many times, what they're ranked and how they perform on the field are two different things. So you still got to coach them up. I don't care whether they're 2 stars or 5 stars. Still got to coach them up.
Yep, exactly. How many times have we seen these? And it's I'm not trying to pick on the kids or anything like that, but like the Graham Mertzes and the Logan Browns and all that. These 5-star kids.
Yeah, they have no control over how they're rated.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And sometimes that fit just isn't the fit at the school that they go to. But looking at some of the players that and this is really truly Luke Fickell's first Wisconsin class. He came.
Oh, you bet.
These are his guys. These are the guys his staff targeted, wanted to bring in and such. He's got a couple of young running backs coming in, 4-star running backs. Probably pretty happy though too to find out that Ches Malusi is going to come back next year.
Oh, good.
So they have that veteran running back. I feel like Ches Malusi would fit this offense with his style. I think you even mentioned that.
I think so too. Yeah, it's good. And the one I'm most excited about, and that's why when you were early, I was listening to you anxiously running through some of those names, that tight end from Wanakee.
Rob Booker, yeah.
If you watch the Badgers at all this year, one of the really, really deficient positions this year, tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not denigrating the kids in any way, shape, or form. They were freshmen and they weren't ready to play Big Ten football because there were a few times where, there were plays they should have made and they didn't make. So I'm excited to see this kid, and hopefully he can step in, and the guys that were there last year can step up. So tight end will be a strength again, because we've had some awfully good tight ends over the years.
Well, we got another one, a part of this class too, a 4-star tight end, Grant Steck from Illinois. Both these tight ends, 6'6".
Good.
Bringing some length and athleticism over there.
Yep.
So yeah, because I mean, one former Badger tight end's kind of doing pretty darn well in the NFL right now is Jake Ferguson with the Cowboys.
Doing very well with the Cowboys.
He's becoming a nice target or favorite target for Dak Prescott down there.
And over the years, we've had a lot of good ones make it. Not like Iowa, but we've had some pretty good tight ends.
Yep. Owen Daniels comes to mind,
Yep.
and those guys over there too. So, but it was I don't know. I mean, I know you're active on social media and Twitter and all that sort of stuff. So, Badger.
So what do you want to
know? Badger football. They were releasing some of their videos. Those coaches and those recruiters get hyped up when those players commit. I mean, they were uploading their reactions when those players finally, and they were just going nuts with some of those guys. But they think about it. They spend how much time trying to convince these kids to come over? It's got to be kind of weird. Like, you're an adult, but you're convincing these 16, 17-year-olds come play with us.
Yeah, you got to feel almost like a pimp. I hate to put it that way, but you're really giving it all. I mean, and I've talked to different coaches, you've talked to different college coaches, and they say that recruiting at that level is probably harder than actually coaching. Because you really are running all kinds of different personalities, and not just the kids, it's their parents. And rightly so. The parents are looking out for the benefit of their young people going on to the next level, and they want to go someplace where they're going to get an education, and now they want them to go someplace where they can make some money. I mean, there's so many different parts of the equation now that weren't there 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they flipped Booker. I know one of their corners from Florida, defensive backs. Miami made a late push. He actually visited the U, but Xavier Lucas deciding to stay. So a little bit more depth in the defensive backfield.
He stayed because I heard he had flipped. So that's nice. But boy, they got to go into the portal and get some more defensive backs, because the ones they got at number 2 and 24, I think it was, boy, they are very deficient.
Yeah, and a couple of their top ones, defensive linemen, building up the front over there,
and linebackers we need too.
Yep, they got a couple of those, and edge rushers, 4-star guys over here too. So it's always fun, on signing day to see the prospects of what these players could be. Right, that's basically how we have to look at it, like potentially what they could develop into.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is kind of the exciting time of getting top players in, and it really is. And for the coaches, like you said, I saw some of those videos too of the coaches jumping down. Ryan Dave from Ohio State, got two of the top wide receivers. Just what they need is more wide receiver. Why is it that the wide receivers that go to Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, I mean, what is it about those schools? Because they make marginal quarterbacks. Those wide receivers have made some marginal quarterbacks a lot of money at places like Ohio State and Alabama. They really have.
Yeah. Some people might say the same thing, or used to, about Wisconsin offensive linemen there too. But, I know Ryan Day's got that. He used to be a wide receiver coach and, quarterback coach too. Maybe looking at that, and I'm sure he kind of can sell those guys, those players to come over. And once you have some success, you're like, hey, you can be the next Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith, and the list goes on and on and on over there. But yeah, I saw his reaction too. Like I'm sure you saw him when he found out when he was at the podium that one of those receivers was coming, and he's like almost fainted.
Really?
Yeah, like it's like, whoo, sigh of relief. It's like, yeah, spread the wealth, dude. Just give a little bit over there. But no, it was kind of fun to see all that, and hopefully everybody stays over there too, because really, with the college world too, you never know.
Oh, not anymore.
Really don't.
They got to change that transfer portal. Transfer once, because I mean, you look at coaches; they're going to be there and they're going to leave. So why can't the kids? Yeah, but the coaches aren't going to a different school every other. Some of these guys are playing for 3 and 4 different schools. Coaches aren't coaching in 3 and 4 different schools in a 3 or 4 year period. That's not happening. They've got to do something to get the transfer portal under control. I don't know if they'll ever be able to get the NIL under control. I mean, that's like the Wild West. Who's got the most money is what it amounts to. And of course, a school like Kansas Do they have the same kind of money as Texas A&M?
Right.
Not even close.
Right.
So, that's never going to be equal, I don't think. I don't know how they're going to do it. But the transfer portal, I would think they could get under control. But then again, are they going to get sued for restraint of trade or something like that? But for the good of the game, I think they've got to do it somehow.
You're not the only one. You're not a lot of coaches, I think, would agree with you too. I know Chip Kelly lately too has been kind of vocal about that, and Matt Rule in Nebraska.
Yeah, he's very vocal about it.
Yep, he's feeling pretty good. He got a really good quarterback.
He got a top quarterback.
Flipped it from Georgia to come over.
5-star quarterback.
Yeah, his dad, kind of a legacy though too. His dad played for Nebraska, and his uncle's an offensive line coach at Nebraska, I believe.
Oh, I was wondering how that happened because let's face it, Nebraska isn't going to go to the college football championships anytime soon. I don't care. They got to get more than one 5-star player.
Yeah, so that obviously helps out a little bit over there too. So, and I think RJ said his dad or his uncle played at Wisconsin. I'll have to double check what RJ said on Tuesday over there too. So, but yeah, you got your typical teams at the top there with your rankings there. I mean, no big surprise. Georgia's still number 1. Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon.
The thing is we found out they're all kids and they get beat. Georgia got beat. Georgia was prohibitive favorite and they got beat.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, Auburn's got a top 10 class. Miami's got a top 10 class, but they're not in, big time bowl games. This year. They're not in the college football playoff.
Not even close, some of those.
So, but yeah, do have a game tonight. Are you one that watches a lot of bowl games like Murph over there? I mean, I know that's his big thing is bowl games, and he takes time off to watch all those.
And through them, but I don't care about
the Boca Raton bowl game today.
University of Texas San Antonio. I didn't even know there was a University of Texas San Antonio, and they're in a bowl game. No, I don't. I'll start watching them after Christmas.
Yeah.
And then next week I'll start watching them.
You're not geared up for a little University of South Florida versus Syracuse tonight?
No, that's not going to trip my tree. If there's a Big Ten team in there, I'll watch a little bit of it to see how they're doing. But,
right.
These other ones I don't get too excited about.
Or unless you had like a personal.
Well,
that sort of thing is different over there too. So, all right, we got that game on the docket tonight. If you are into the college football feel here. Dave from Ray's Place tells Bob, I'm sorry I missed him, and thanks to his son for his service to our country.
You bet. Good sandwich. And of course, Mike went in there, my son, and he said, we ordered our sandwiches. And I said, I'll just have cheese on mine. And the bartender, 2 great guys that were tending bar last night. He says, you want onion? Yeah, a lot of it. So I don't know, but it was good. Ray's Place, you can't miss having a good roast beef at Ray's Place.
Yep, and
good company. I mean, like I said, it was fun in there last night. It's a cross section of ages, is what I like. There are people that have been around Eau Claire for a long time. Ray's is a tradition.
Yep,
they go in there. The young kids go in there. It's a great place. It's because it's always. I don't care when I've never gone in there, even when I'm alone, that I didn't end up having somebody to talk to that I knew or, recognized me, or we talk sports or whatever the case may be. It's just a great cross section of the community that goes in there.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. G-Man completely agrees with you too. Now you're talking, he says over there. So G-Man also saying that like the new start to the show. We got Brewers are on to something new. Yes, sir. World Series champs on Wisconsin. And the Badgers will win the NCAA champs. Also, Bucks will win tonight, 135 to 124. Yes, JR's T-Wolves and my Bucks, and the Bucks will win it all. So there you go.
Who they playing the T-Wolves tonight?
No, his buddy JR is a Minnesota fan. So
I see. Okay.
We're T-Wolves are number 1 in the West.
Yeah, they're having a good season.
And we can't get that Brewers Twins World Series, so maybe we'll have to settle for a T-Wolves Bucks NBA Finals or something like that.
That'd be fun too. Yeah.
We'd be going over there.
I'd
check it out.
I think that's closer than a Brewers Twins World Series.
Yeah. Would you go to if the T-Wolves, maybe if the Bucks weren't in it, but if the T-Wolves are in the NBA Finals, would you go over to Minnesota and watch if you had the opportunity?
Well, if I had the opportunity, I'd definitely go. Absolutely. Yeah. I love championship series, whether it's any sport. It's different intensity.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, and it really.
Because you've been to a World Series game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've been to a play. I haven't been to, a World Series or
I've been to a
finals or anything.
football playoff, never the Super Bowl.
Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I've been to the Rose Bowl, and that's an experience too. I mean, it's quite a place out there, especially when Wisconsin's in it. I mean, it's like I said, the time I was out there, and I've told this story before. We went to a rally, and they ran out of beer, and the people who were in Los Angeles. Well, other Big Ten teams come out here and they'll have some beers, but Wisconsin drinks beer, but ran them completely out of beer. And the whole city of Los Angeles, they were struggling. They went to, I don't know, San Diego to get some semi-loads of beer in there, the kind of variety that was sponsoring the tailgates and all that sort of stuff. But, California loves Wisconsin fans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most people love Wisconsin fans coming to their bowl games. That's
Yep.
why. That's the reason Wisconsin's got a New Year's Day bowl at 7-5.
Yeah.
Because you look at teams with better records, they're not playing on New Year's. Wisconsin's playing on how they're going to do against LSU. I don't know. I'm a little nervous, but there's a reason they want in Wisconsin. How many Wisconsin people are in Florida all winter anyway? So Tampa,
right?
It's going to be a lot of red.
I was going to say
LSU, it's going to be purple, but they don't have far to go.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
Jade
fun.
Daniels isn't playing. He's he committed to the draft and is not going to play in the bowl game. So
that'll make a difference.
That changes things a little bit over there too.
Because I was nervous about that because I remember Herbert when he played with Oregon, the way he played in the Rose Bowl, just outran Wisconsin. And this guy is a heck of a lot better runner than Herbert. He might have run for 300 yards. So, well, maybe that puts us on a little more of a plane. Now, didn't one of our linebackers, is it number 54? What's his name? But didn't he opt out in the transfer portal or go to the draft or whatever? So, again, you lose your starters in a situation like that. So I forget what's Munson, Monroe, or something. I don't know, number 54. But anyway, well, that's good to hear for the Badgers' sake. So hopefully they can gear it up. And is Mordecai going to play in the bowl game?
Haven't heard anything else. So it sounds like he's going to be over there. But you mentioned that Justin Herbert one. Brandon actually went to that Rose Bowl game.
Oh, did he really?
And we still kind of talk about this because when he was there, and he was talking to some Oregon fans did not like Justin Herbert. They thought he was overrated. They didn't think he was any good. And now look what he's doing. I was going to say, now look at what he's doing over there. And we still kind of trouble because he's like the Oregon fans that he was talking to and sitting next to, they were not on the Justin Herbert bandwagon. Wow. They were not on that train. I don't know why exactly, but
I wish he'd had a W on his helmet that day. Believe me, he beat the Badgers single-handedly.
I can still picture him running up the sidelines.
Oh, yeah.
So
many times.
Yep. So,
like Michael Vick against the Packers.
We don't need to talk about that. Or Tommy DeVito too for the Giants. Yeah. You're thinking of Jordan Turner, I think, the linebacker.
Jordan
Turner. Yeah, he's going to Michigan State, going back to his home state of Michigan.
Oh, is he really?
So, but yeah, I know Badgers. They lost a lineman going to the draft though too. So, but with everybody, it seems like every team, I think, unless you're in the top four, has probably lost a lot of players at this point. And
I don't think Michigan lost a one.
No,
in the transfer portal, which is unbelievable because if you're second or third team in Michigan, you're a starter at probably 80% of the schools, maybe 90% of the colleges in the country. Division I, they've got a depth chart that's unbelievable. Those schools.
Yep.
So to lose no one is a real tribute to that staff to keep those guys around.
Yep, definitely. So, all right, let's take a quick break here. And coming up, we'll talk a little Brewers, take a look at the trade that they made yesterday. We'll hit that up and who exactly did they get in return. Your thoughts, hit us up with a text, 715-830-1912. We'll be back after these quick words. Brewers making a trade with an old friend yesterday. David Stearns and the Mets and Matt Arnold's agreeing to a deal where the Brewers are sending Adrian Hauser and outfielder Tyrone Taylor to the New York Mets for Coleman Crow. Who the heck is Coleman Crow? Well, he's a pitching prospect who is recovering from Tommy John surgery.
Oh boy.
At the very earliest, according to I was reading a little bit this morning from Brewers.com, the earliest he probably could pitch would be halfway through the season. But the thing is, he probably won't be on the major league roster anytime soon because he was in Double A last year. Matt Arnold saying he can really spin a breaking ball. He has a bulldog mentality. He has a lot of ingredients to have a chance to be a really productive major league starter, and those are very hard to find. Obviously, looking at this before we get to a couple more quotes, we were just looking at this more from the perspective of we have a number of exciting outfielders that we feel good about, and we have a number of exciting young arms, and we're looking at Crow as somebody that could potentially help us later in the season at the upper levels of the minors to the major league level. Being able to convert both those guys into that type of piece for us was pretty exciting. Both those guys being Taylor and Hauser. But I think it's pretty obvious that this is not a move that'll help the Brewers in the immediate future of this. But we knew that they were going to move on from an outfielder with Jackson Cheerio and Sal Frelick and Joey Weimer and Garrett Mitchell and Christian Yelich, maybe even moving on from one more of those guys. And Adrian Hauser, was he going to be a back end rotation, middle relief? Who knows? But it's evident that obviously this move doesn't help the team for this year. For this year.
Well, the thing that makes me nervous, can you say Josh Hader? I mean, we got pitchers from San Diego that were having rehabilitation situations and they never, ever got on the roster, never got on the field. We gave Hader away for nothing, basically. Did we do the same thing with Hauser? Now, Taylor, like you said, the outfield is pretty plentiful with talented players. So that maybe not a big a deal, but I think giving Hauser away for a pitcher that is questionable at best. Tommy John surgery, yeah, it's been successful, but it's not 100%. Did we give away another good pitcher like we gave away a great pitcher in Hauser? That's the only thing that makes me nervous.
Just kind of looking, we have a text from C-Bomb. A lot of people bashing that move by the Brewers. Could it be that they're making a move to free up money to try to keep Burns? No. I don't think that move would free up money. I know, these you move on from two guys who are in arbitration, that sort of thing. But Burns just the other day said that he said that he wants to test free agency. That unless it was an offer, because he was asked about an offer, and it was kind of assumed more so if he was traded to a contender and they offered him a long-term contract. He said he would have to be blown away by an offer. He said, players who get this close to free agency, want to test the market, and he wants to test that market. So it would cost a lot, and I don't think these moves would even move that needle to that point. So,
and I don't blame Hauser or Burns rather one bit for testing free agency. He's got a lot to offer,
and this is probably his last time.
Money.
It might be his one shot to get that big deal.
Exactly. No, I don't begrudge him a bit. I just am nervous about giving away a healthy arm for a very unhealthy arm. Is what my concern is. We're going to develop all these pitchers like we have and give them away like they did a year ago. I mean, that's just that's what has me nervous. And I hope the kid comes back and spins the curveball, but you know how much anybody that's ever tried to throw a curveball, you know how much pressure that puts on the arm and the shoulder and the elbow and everything else for just spinning the curveball, as he said. Every time they say that, it kind of makes me nervous about the stress that puts on an arm. If he's had Tommy John surgery already, what does that say about his elbow going forward?
Since you brought up Josh Hader, I'll get your reaction from this. We mentioned it a couple days ago, but I'll bring it back up. Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic had a piece, just kind of an update on the Corbin Burns situation. And what sources told him was that, to kind of paraphrase everything on there, Mark Anasio doesn't want to move on from Corbin Burns, and a big reason for that too is because of the backlash that the team got for trading Josh Hader. And Mark Anasio doesn't want to go through that again at that point, doesn't want that backlash. That's part of it. Not necessarily the whole reason, but doesn't want to go through that. And Mark has said, whether you believe it or not, doesn't believe in rebuilds or anything like that. And even there was even a mention too about, maybe trying to be competitive this year and beat Craig Counsell and the Cubs for at least the first year over there. But as a fan, do you like the fact that the owner is saying, I don't want to trade Burns because I don't want to upset the fans necessarily? Or would you rather let the GM do his job, and if he gets an offer, make that deal?
I think Atanasio is coming at this after, that old saying, the horse is out of the barn. Where was he when this Hader? I mean, you talk to any average fan on the street, you or I, is this a good deal for the Brewers to trade Hader for what we're getting back? I mean, everybody would have said no. We said that before anything even happened, that these pitchers didn't even make the roster. Maybe one of them did. I don't know. But if he's an owner, we're just fans. He's in the fight every day. He's got more access to information and the money available and this, that, and the other thing. If he didn't expect that backlash from that Hader trade, he's out of touch.
Mm-hmm.
I think, because it's something that as soon as it was made, I remember you and I talking, I was, and I think you were too, kind of befuddled about what was the advantage of trading him at that time for what we got back. We were in the hunt for the playoffs. We didn't make the playoffs that year. Atanasio out of touch as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
seems to be.
Says this was the piece here. The Brewers' willingness to trade right-hander Corbin Burns remains unclear, but the possibility exists that the team might carry Burns in the season because owner Mark Atanasio's desire to compete and avoid the type of backlash the team received for trading Josh Hader at the 2022 deadline, according to Major League sources briefed on the team's thinking. A little bit more. Atanasio then might very well be thinking, why do this? Why not to try to compete first? Brewers have proven quite adept at maximizing limited resources, making the playoffs in the 5 of the past 6 seasons. All those postseason appearances, however, came under Craig Counsell, which, come to think of it, might be another reason for Atanasio to hold Burns and, for that matter, shortstop Willy Adames. The owner would love to best Counsell, who bolted for the rival Chicago Cubs.
And I think one of the things you can say is, like I just did, the Hader trade isn't over. I mean, it's still a sour taste in the mouth of a lot of fans, myself included. Like I just said, we're still dealing with that issue, and I think Atanasio is dealing with it too. He's still hearing about it, and I don't think that's going away. And if they trade Burns, it's just going to ramp up that conversation about, what are you doing? And I'm sure he doesn't want that. I wouldn't either if I was the owner, but he's got some fires to put out, and I don't think the fire over the Hader trade has been put out yet.
I think whenever it does happen, if it happened before the season, I think there would be a lot of upset Brewers fans, but I think it would also come with, I don't think the reaction would be nearly as bad as the Hader one, because one, we've been talking about is Burns going to be traded for so long. Two, if it's before the season, they're not in that playoff chase like Hader was in first place. So while there would be disappointed fans, I think we've prepped ourselves that it's going to happen at some point, whether it's before or halfway through the season.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on all those points, because, everybody expects Burns is going to go someplace to get big money. I mean, Cole Stark went from, what did he go from? Pittsburgh, where he started, to the Yankees. Nobody can begrudge
Garrett Cole, yeah.
Or Derek Cole, I'm sorry. And, everybody knew that Pittsburgh couldn't pay him Yankee money. They know the Brewers can't pay Corbin Burns that kind of money. They knew Josh Hader was eventually going to leave as a free agent. But the way he left is what put the sour taste in so many people's mouth, and still that sour taste is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, too, is like if the Brewers are in first place, same point in time, right before the trade deadline, I don't want him trading Corbin Burns, even
No,
if
I
you
don't
might
either.
lose him.
Yeah.
You know, why not try to? You never know what's going to happen at that point.
No,
You
you
know,
don't. I
so
mean, Washington a couple years ago, pretty good example. Even Philadelphia getting to the World Series a couple years ago. Surprising teams, they got hot at the right time.
yep. So I still feel like he's going to be the opening day starter, and I feel like they're going to roll the dice and have him on the roster and then see how the season goes.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think too, but I definitely think he's going to be the opening day starter.
Yep, that's kind of where I'm at too. So, all right, we only got a couple minutes left to the top of the hour. Coming up next hour, we'll talk some hoops. Bucks back in action tonight, going up against the Orlando Magic. Bucks looking to win their 6th game in a row right now.
When Giannis is done, is there going to be a record he doesn't hold for the Bucks?
Well, you know, he's he's having a little fun with Middleton, saying he's coming after the 3-point one now. So I don't think we want to see that.
No,
one
I don't want him
happen,
shooting that
so.
many. Not when you got Middleton and Lillard on the team. I just soon let those guys do this.
Yep.
And Portis is a pretty good 3-point shooter too. Giannis, you take the Euro step to the basket.
Exactly. So, but we'll take a look at this game, and then you know you got the Christmas Day games coming up, especially with the Knicks. But then right after that too, you got back-to-backs against the Pacers in the beginning of January over there too. So, but I'll take a look at that. Badger basketball is going to be in action tomorrow night as they take on Chicago State before their little bit of a break. But last couple nights we've had some upsets in the college basketball world, including Marquette losing the other night to Providence, unranked Providence too. So
Well, Providence beat Wisconsin, didn't they?
they did.
Yep.
Yep. So maybe people are overlooking Providence a little bit this year.
Yeah,
So,
the final 64 always some of those teams come to the forefront.
Yep. So we'll talk some hoops, and again, don't forget to get your questions in for Mr. Jake Boakes coming up at 8:30, and then receiver defer in about 45 minutes. One in already. We got a couple more to go. We'll be back after these news updates in just a few minutes. All right, second hour on this Thursday morning, just a few days away from Christmas. Hopefully, you got some Christmas shopping done. You got all your shopping done there, big boy?
You bet.
That'll
Done,
boy.
wrapped under the tree, ready to go.
All right, good deal. I got to pick up a couple more things.
Yeah, there's always a few
Last
things.
second stuff.
I get out and that'll be neat. Nah, I got everything done. I'm done.
Yep.
They got all my money.
Coming up, we're going to get to a little receiver defer at the back end of this hour. I want to talk a little hoops with the Bucks back in action as well tonight. First, let's do some sports nuggets of the day. Ray McClain with the Chicago Bears performed a drop kick for an extra point in the NFL this day in 1941. The next one would not happen until Doug Flutie performed it 61 years later when he was with the Patriots.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do too. 1951, Joe DiMaggio announced his retirement from Major League Baseball. 1959, Tom Landry accepted the position of head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Vince Lombardi, 10 years later, 1969, coached his last game. His Washington team lost to Tom Landry's Dallas Cowboys 20-10. Washington ended that season at 7-5-2, which was the first winning season for the team in 14 years. How old, if you don't mind me asking, were you in 1969?
1969, I was 42.
No, you weren't. 42 years old.
22. 22.
Wait a minute. That can't be right.
Yeah, no, it's not. 22.
So,
wow. I never was good at math.
So what I was going to ask, a lot of people like now, like, well, that guy looks weird in that uniform, Jordan Wizards, Brady Bucks, whatever. How weird was it, Lombardi not coaching Packers, coaching another team?
Very weird.
Yeah.
Because we had, as Packer fan, and I was just, before Lombardi, I was a casual fan, and I didn't know how bad the Packers were in this, and all of a sudden Lombardi came in, and the Packers got good and got to be legendary, and that's when I became a Packer fan. I was always rooting, but you didn't have them on TV all the time either. You weren't exposed to them back then like you are now in the late 50s, early 60s before Lombardi got it. And all of a sudden, the NFL picked up. The Cowboys got to be America's team, and it really started picking up then.
Yeah. 1975, John Riggins became the first Jets player to gain 1,000 yards. George Blanda, 1975, his final regular season game became the first professional football player to reach 2,000 points. 26-year career for George Blanda.
I was going to say, and he's about 60 years old.
Let's go. Harold Carmichael ended his NFL streak of 127 consecutive games with a reception. 1981, Cincinnati defeated Bradley 75-73 in 7 overtimes. The game was the longest collegiate basketball game in history at the NCAA Division I competition at that time. 1983, the Indiana Pacers ended a 28-game losing streak. In case anybody is wondering, that is the Pistons are getting close to that right now. Man, oh man, I'll be honest.
Is that the longest losing streak in history of the NBA?
See, when I Googled it, it looks like it's yeah, because 20 it looks like it's the longest one. So Philadelphia apparently did that one as well in 2015. They had lost 28 in a row. So I'm trying to double check this because
that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, Pistons. Okay, all time losing streaks here. Actually, it's the Pistons. It's not the. This one's wrong. It doesn't look like it's the Pacers that has it. In 83. Would the Pacers have been in the ABA in 8? No. They were in the NBA, right?
I think so.
On here, a couple of them now say it's actually the 76ers that have a 28-game losing streak here, and that's at 28 still. So, but Pistons are rapidly approaching it. They're at 24. So, they're... I don't know.
The way the NBA is played, that's pretty hard to believe that NBA caliber players can't put it together for one game and really, because there's no sense watching the first half. They're ahead by 30 at half, and they'd lose the game by 10. I mean, that's how much the game changes. But for the Pistons not to be able to put a game together where everything comes together, so to speak, and beat somebody.
Mm-hmm. Looking at their schedule too, I mean, they just lost Monday by 6 to the Hawks. They've got the Jazz today, then back-to-back games against the Pistons. If it were to work out, if they lose those 3, to avoid being tied for the all-time record, they'd have to beat the Celtics.
Good luck on that.
Yeah. That's their 28th potential loss in a row, would be going up against the Celtics. So it's at that point now you don't want to be the team that ends the streak for them.
Never.
And I was a little nervous that it was going to be the Bucks over the weekend. Like, please don't be that team. So those are just some of your sports nuggets for this Thursday.
Thank goodness for Detroit fans that the Lions are better now.
Right.
Otherwise, I mean, they're going to be jumping in the river over there.
Yeah, between the Tigers, Pistons.
Yeah.
So
they got something to cheer about with the Lions.
Yep. Hoops wise, Bucks back in action tonight, going up against the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic 4th in the Eastern Conference right now. They've lost 3 in a row. They were not that long ago in 2nd place in the Eastern Conference standings. That is now held by the Bucks, who are just 1 game behind Boston for 1st place. Bucks riding a 5-game winning streak right now. This is coming off of their previous win the other night against the Spurs, where Damian Lillard dropped 40 points and he joined the exclusive club of the 20,000 career point club. Him, Jordan, LeBron, and KG, Kevin Garnett, the only players that had, I'm going to see if I can bring it up because he joined some exclusive company with that. I want to make sure I get it right there. I think it was 20,000 career points, assists, and rebounds were on there too. So let me double check it coming up here.
Yeah, he's starting to meld in with the rest of the Bucks. You could see that early in the season, at least to me, it looked like he was trying to find just exactly where he fit. And he seems like the kind of a guy that wants to fit. And he didn't come in here and say, I'm Damian Lillard. I can make threes from all over the floor. I'm going to be the focal point of this team. Seems like he and Giannis get along very well. Chris Middleton, nobody is, I haven't heard anybody talk in any way, shape, or form that there's been anything less than a real meaningful, so to speak, addition of Damian Lillard. He's come in and been a good teammate, and really, I think this team, as the season goes along, is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger because they're all going to fit into place a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking of when Giannis broke the other record the other night, because it was with the same franchise. Damian has joined James Harden, Steph Curry, and LeBron James as the only players in NBA history to have 20,000 career points, 5,000 assists, and 2,000 3-pointers. That was what I was trying to get at.
2,000 3-pointers. Just think of that.
Mm-hmm. The other active players with at least 20,000 points are LeBron, Kevin Durant, Harden, Westbrook, Curry, Paul, and DeMar DeRozan. And if you're wondering, Giannis is at 17,000 some, so it'll be a couple more years before he joins that group. But he will. Right?
Oh, no question about it.
We know he will. So, but yeah, Bucks 2nd highest scoring team in the league right now. Kind of a difference,
How do they rank defensive wise?
Not great. Not great, Bob.
That's why they're going to need. That's why they're going to need Damian Lillard to score a lot of points, because, like you said, I said a receiver to Fur last week. The only defense in Wisconsin worse than the Packers is the Bucks.
If we're looking at defensive ratings here, this is from NBA.com. Okay, Minnesota is your number 1 team defensive ratings. The Milwaukee Bucks 19 out of 30 defensive ratings.
Where's Boston?
Boston is, they got to be towards the top, right? Boston's 5.
See, that's going to be a tough nut to crack because they can score a lot of points and they play good defense.
Yeah, your top 5 is Minnesota. The 76ers are at 2, Oklahoma City, Orlando, and Boston at number 5.
Now, Bucks got to get better. They got to get to the top 10, I think, to win. I think the defense, if they don't win a championship, the defense is going to be the reason why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just kind of looking at some other stuff over here, too. So
they just play that Ole defense, just wave at them and let them go by.
Mm-hmm. What was They got Milwaukee here listed at something else. Oh, regardless. Okay. No, but yeah, defensive rating according to NBA.com 19. And that's probably one of the biggest surprise so far because I think we knew they'd probably take a hit defensively without Drew Holiday, but again, Adrian Griffin coming in as a defensive minded head coach and not really up to that level, I would say.
Not yet. I don't know if he's still trying to figure out what kind of defenses to play with these guys, but yeah, they're not defensive stalwarts by any means.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, looking at defensive efficiency, Minnesota number 1 at 103.7. Boston's 4 at that. Milwaukee's still 19 on here too. This is from ESPN.com. The only big change is that Houston is number 2 on here, and Philadelphia is at 6. So they've actually flip-flopped over there too. So I was trying to find some other numbers defensive numbers. So, but yeah, I know now there's talks about, because you're getting closer to the trade deadline, what is the biggest need for the Bucks right now? Biggest
Defense.
defense. And I kind of wonder too, when Jay Crowder gets back, would that start to help? I know he played a little bit and he's more known for defense, but you kind of wonder when he comes back and recovers from his surgery.
What surgery did he have?
It sounded like he had like a sports hernia.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was. That's what it kind of sounded like. But he's getting close to returning.
Good, I hope so, because I know he's not been in the lineup, and I think too he would make a difference on the defense. I don't think he could single-handedly take him from 19 to 10, but maybe a defensive player like that could encourage, so to speak, the others to play a little better defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was from SI.com. And again, it's one of those blog ones out there too. But this writer posed the question: would the Bucks keep Middleton as part of before the trade deadline? I think they will. I think they
somebody
would
have to blow into the trade with somebody that could really play defense and still give them offensive contributions. Who that would be, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if Middleton would be, and you hate to say this a lot of times too, but you got to factor in what would Giannis feel about that type of trade.
No, right, exactly.
I don't think he would like that move. I think he'd be vocal about that move. And can talk about talent or anything like that, but I don't think he would like that move one bit.
I don't think he would either. No, because they've been around together for a long time and reportedly good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And Middleton's been a contributor. He just, he's had that knee.
Yeah. And I think he's better suited for being the third option.
I think so too, because how many times over the years have we said in the playoffs, Chris Middleton has got to be better? Well, when you got Damian Lillard, maybe this allows Chris Middleton to still needs to be as good as he can be, but not the guy you depend on outside of Giannis.
Right. And because, you're going to be focused, or teams are going to be focused on Giannis and Dame, and now Chris as the third option. Hopefully he can thrive, in that role. And we're seeing his minutes start to increase on the floor here too. And I think with that, you're starting to see more points. I mean, this is just his last few games here. 20, 13, 14, 20, 17 for Middleton.
And if he can stay right there, that's a great help to Lillard and Giannis.
Yeah, and I mean, he's now getting up to about 30 minutes per game, where he was at that 20-minute, and then you got to go to the bench. Now he's getting up to about 30 minutes per game at this point in time. So,
yeah, that keeps some of these guys that are less talented, less experienced off the floor for that 10 minutes that he's putting in extra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely take those numbers. In fact, his last 10 games, he's actually shooting almost 42% from three over there too. So, for a third option, it's trending upward.
Oh, I think so too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, tip off tonight, 7 p.m. You can catch that game on the radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. All right. Before we get to a little receiver defer, we'll take a quick break. Packers returned to practice yesterday. What did Devondre Campbell have to say about his infamous tweet that he threw out there yesterday?
Yeah, I want to hear about this because I heard he tweeted, but I don't know what it was.
All right. I'll tell you what it is and what he had to say about it after practice yesterday. But we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with more after these quick words. Tomorrow is our annual Festivus show, so if you have any airing of grievances that you want to
I'll be here
participate with
early.
us.
I'll be here early.
No Joe Barry or Matt LaFleur is allowed. You got to be a little more creative. I'm just kidding there because I got a feeling that's going to be a lot of them. But we've got our lists that we'll get the metal polls out and say I've got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about it tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to do that. I know Festivus is on the 23rd, but that's Saturday, and I'm not coming in on Saturday to do that. We're going to do it tomorrow when Brandon's in too. So. But I'm sure a lot of you probably have some airing of grievances when it relates to any sort of various members of the Packers organization. So you can save those for tomorrow. But Devondre Campbell. So a couple days ago, Devondre Campbell went on to Twitter/X saying, "I'm not going on my way anymore, and I'm not playing through injuries anymore because when blank goes wrong, they always use it against you. I'm treating everyone accordingly and giving them the same energy they are giving me. Focus on yourself and your mental, 59. You owe it to yourself." Matt LaFleur, the Packers returned to practice yesterday. Matt LaFleur, and this was on Tuesday, he had tweeted it, so there was no media availability or anything like that. LaFleur, again, typical, like any coach, kind of downplaying it, said, he did have a conversation with Devondre Campbell. And kind of said that Campbell pours his heart into the game and said his comments came from frustration over being hurt this year. He said they decided to give him time off in practice and evaluate at the end of the week. Said it's best to get his body back. Not sure what a few days would get your body back at that point. Devondre Campbell did talk to the media after practice, kept things short, and spoke for only about 90 seconds. Saying he would not address a tweet. "I'm not answering no questions about nothing that happened on the internet. If you want
to, he put it on the internet. What an idiot!
If you want to talk about the Carolina Panthers, we can." Some other answers he said about Matt LaFleur granting him some time off this week. "I appreciate Matt for sure. That's my guy. I've known him for a while, so I definitely appreciate him." He was asked, "Is the group all together entering this Panthers game?" Campbell's response, "We're making strides right now. It's Wednesday. We like the game plan, so we'll see where we go from here." Asked, "Are the issues fixed?" "We're talking about it, so we'll see if they're fixed." Asked what stood out on film review. Communication. That's it. If everybody's on the same page, a lot of the mistakes that happen don't happen. And when he was asked, is a lack of communication a coaching issue, he said, "No, it's not about us knowing what to do. We knew what we had to do. It's just about everybody on the field talking and being on the same page." And then there was meetings after that, and his media session lasted about, as we said, 90 seconds over there. So you look like your mind is, you're thinking about something right now.
There are 14 games into the season. Let's get off the talk of the youngest team in the NFL. You got so many young players. Yes, we do. But you've been in a professional camp ever since last draft day or signed as a free agent. You've been addicted to the system. You've been indoctrinated in everything. I mean, let's get off some of the excuses and go out and perform. That's what I think now. I mean, this youngest team in the NFL, fine, at the start of the season. This is week 15 or 16, whatever it is. You've been banged around enough. You've seen the speed of the NFL. You've seen how the game is played. You got to be better. And, Campbell's been around. He knows why he tweeted this and then said he wouldn't talk about anything on the internet. I mean, it just goes to show you, where's your judgment? Come on.
To go to feed off what you said for the youngest, my counter to that is it's not even the defense is the youngest part of this team. It's the offense, and the offense is playing better than the defense.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, if you're looking at a group that's got more veterans and guys who've been around a little bit more, it's a defensive side, and they're the ones having communication issues.
And I don't know. I'd like to know what he's talking about as far as communication issues. What are the communication? When you go to practice, you put the game plan in. Mm-hmm. These are the defensive signals we're going to call. So all of a sudden in a game, where were you at practice? Didn't you pay attention? This communication thing, I think, is just a crutch that they use. It's something you hear a lot of teams saying, well, we got to communicate better. No, you got to know how to play the game better. And you got to have, it's just.
I'm not going to get. I think when they just I think when they talk about communication is like when the offense, when they're doing a play, it's like the communication, like so and so's got that guy, or you got to slide this way, or whatever. I think that's what they're referring to. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying. I
know,
think that's what they're.
But
because there was times like I know Pete Dotery from PackersNews.com before all this had a piece up about the communication. He threw out a couple examples like when Campbell was himself lined up against a receiver, and there were times when Campbell was trying to direct Quay Walker or somebody else to do something, and they either didn't hear him or they did it wrong or something like that. And people have got, as you're an expert Twitter user. They're showing us the videos where, these guys are trying to direct traffic and telling them where to go, and they just look completely lost out there, which I don't understand that part either.
I don't know, because you're looking at film with this team all week in your practices. Now, granted, they may put a new slant in for a game that you haven't seen before and you can get confused. But this defense is confused 4 quarters. Let's face it. And so I don't understand the communication issue and all this other stuff. You watch it, and if you're a defensive back, you're watching the receivers, how they're lining up, how they're coming off the ball on film. So when you see them in a game, if they're in this formation, you got a pretty good idea how they're going to come off the ball. And they're going to cross each other and try and wipe you off. You got a pretty good idea. So the communication thing to me falls on deaf ears. And are you not watching the film? Are you not paying attention? I don't know what goes on in those rooms, but they've got plenty of tape on every team they're going to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know I think it was Valentine that said after the game that they out schemed us. That he talked about there was a couple instances where when they were watching stuff they were going for the screen, but Buccaneers did something completely different. He said they out schemed us in that aspect. They were prepared for something else that they had watched. And I mean, that's a credit to the Buccaneers. You got to give them credit for that.
Yep.
But then that's the whole adjustment thing that comes into play then, right?
But the thing is, it's more than that. You can't make 2 weeks in a row. And I mean, this happens so often to the Packers. Perfect quarterback rating for Baker Mayfield. Come on. The week before that, DeVito looked like an all-pro, and then in the next week he goes back to looking like a 3rd or 4th string quarterback. There's a problem with his defense.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's more than communications, it's ability, it's intelligence, it's grasp of the game. There's a problem with his defense.
I know you have been one. I don't know if you were listening to it on Tuesday. You have been one about snap counts and playing more, like with Rashawn Gary. So I did some homework for you. I looked at the snap counts and percentage of like Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith compared to the other top pass rushers out there, like T.J. Watt, Max Crosby, and all that.
I can't imagine anybody's close to Max Crosby.
You'd be right, because there's multiple games where he's played every single snap.
Really?
This
I
year.
didn't expect it was that, but I'm not surprised.
But that's why I wanted to get, others, Micah Parsons, those guys out there. That way, when you make the argument, when you go to Ray's place, you've got some homework to help you out here, and you can give me credit for doing this research for you.
Okay.
So we're going based off.
Tweet it out to me.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll send you a DM, direct message.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah. But so I'm going to use percentage because we know every game doesn't have the same amount of snaps, right? Rashawn Gary, since the bye week 6, because I'm not counting the first few weeks because he was on that snap count. And it was clearly evident after week 6, that snap count wasn't there anymore. He has topped 70% of the defensive snaps once, and that was week 14 against the Giants. Once. Guys like T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, blah, 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 consistently 80s, 90s% snaps out there.
Part of that to me is heart. How much do you really want to be out there?
I think he does, and he has said that. I think it's because I look at Preston Smith, though, too. Preston Smith is the same numbers as Rashawn Gary. You look at him, it is an even like 60-40, 70-30. They are into that rotation. I feel like if you got to put your best guys out there more times. And I think that's a
Absolutely.
Joe Barry. I think that's a coaching thing out there.
I agree 100%. You put your best player. That's why it frustrates me how, and I know he's only a rookie, he's a young guy, but Van Ness, you don't learn standing on the sidelines. He's how many times you watch a game, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, whatever it is. Van Ness is on the sidelines. He was drafted to be an edge rusher. Put him in there to be an edge rusher.
Because I looked back, even with the Mike Pettin era when they had Zadarius and Preston. Rashawn was a rookie, and Zadarius and Preston were in the 80s and 90s with their snap counts or snap percentages on there. And there was many times even Rashawn was in the 60s, and that's because they had all three guys out there at once. And Zadarius was lined up over the middle, which I'd like to see a little creativity like that.
Oh, yeah, I would
you know.
too.
But to me, when I was looking at those numbers, they are so 70-30, 60-40. It's kind of weird to see that rotation. And I'm good with rotation, keeping guys fresh. But at the same time, if there is a clear, like Rashawn Gary now is getting paid to be one of the top premier pass rushers out there, keep him out there. Get him out there. Because I want him on the field as much as possible. He's mentioned that, like he wants you see it. He gets upset when he's out, taken out. Get him out there. Keep him out there going after the quarterback, wearing it down out there.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And, I just, it is frustrating to watch these guys. You don't have your top players on the field. Too many times you don't have the top players on the field. And, yeah, I like a rotation too. You got to give them a blow. Anybody that's ever played knows that you play every down in that front seven, you're going to be winded because that, much more than a defensive back.
Yep.
These guys in the front seven and playing the line, that's man's work. There really is. And these guys are playing hard and they need a blow every once in a while, but not as often as they're getting.
No, like even Kenny Clark's in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
up there. I want to see those numbers go up. I want to see them keep them out there. So I did the homework for you.
You did. I
looked at
appreciate it.
them.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Now you got something when somebody says something. Well, no, you got numbers to back it up now.
Well, I mean,
so.
it's the eye test too. I don't have the numbers like you had, but the eye test shows why are these guys on the sideline? Like you said, Rashawn Gary is getting paid as a premier edge rusher and a defensive end, whatever position he is called. He's got to be on the field. You can't pay that much money for 52 to be standing on the sidelines, especially like you say, he wants to be in there. Some of these rotations to me are, well, they don't work as we're seeing for the Packers.
Yeah. All right. Ready to do a little receiver defer?
You bet.
Let's take a quick break, and then we're gonna close up the second hour with some receiver defer. Then we got Jake, our outdoor tidbits coming up at 8:30. Get those questions in. Ice fisherman, maybe you got some questions. Text us 715-830-1912. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. If you have some time today, and if you have a subscription to The Athletic, a really cool story just out by Matt Schneidman, who covers the Packers, but it's about Aaron Jones and former Packers, longtime Packers offensive line coach, and even former player James Campman. Campman is with the Panthers right now, coaching their offensive line. And the story is about each Father's Day, Aaron Jones calls about 10 men he's most thankful for. His late father once encouraged him to start doing this. And one call always goes to James Campman, the offensive line coach for the Panthers. And Aaron Jones plans on giving Campman his jersey after the game. And Campman, when found out about that, was reading it a little bit here. It became emotional and such. But Campman said that too. He'll never forget the look on the face of Aaron Jones's parents, both who are veterans, when he gave them 2 Packer military appreciation hoodies before a game. Said they raised Jones right. He still uses "yes, sir" to answer questions, which I can attest to. I've interviewed Aaron Jones twice, once at the Super Bowl and once over here when they were at for the Packers tour. Yes, sir. No, sir. Doesn't matter who's talking to him. Little Joe Blow like me, and he answered yes, sir, no, sir, every single time to those questions.
Yeah, they get that. I know. And I just, as an addendum, as you were talking about them, thinking about my son who's been in the military almost 20 years now, and he'll do the same thing. not every time, but he'll, yes, sir, no, ma'am.
Yep. James Campman, we were talking, we were just talking about some of the stuff in football, but Aaron Rodgers actually did a video a couple of years ago for NFL Films, and he talked about James Campman too. The film was about James Campman. You don't hear these stories. I'm going to play a little bit of a clip, but it's stories like this that I think need to be highlighted a little bit more. But this is what Campman does apparently on every home game here. Audio courtesy NFL Films.
He's a
So there you go. Every road game does that.
Yeah, and James Campen was a great lineman for the Packers, above average. And Campen did a good job of the Packers. Obviously, he was raised right as well, and carrying that on. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So he said too in that article, he's got all daughters. So Father's Day, when Aaron Jones calls him, he gets quite emotional and all that too. So
how'd you like to be taking one of James Campen's daughters out, come to the door, and James Campen answers the door? Yes, what do you want in my house?
Well, apparently, if you watch that video, I know it aired a couple years ago with Rodgers. It's about 15 minutes, but apparently, when him and Rodgers have this deal that when Rodgers is done or when they hit a certain age, they're both wrestling fans. They're going to go in the ring and wrestle
each other.
Yes.
Oh, that ought to be fun.
And James thinks he's gonna kick his, you know what? Aaron's like, I'm just gonna dance around because he'll be 70 by that time or something. So,
oh boy, he better hope his Achilles or whatever he pulled there is healed up, or he won't dance around.
Yep.
Oh, that'll be fun to watch.
Apparently, too, during his playing days, really quick, there was a story. He broke his collarbone or something with the collarbone, and Pat McKenzie was a doctor at that time too. And he wanted to make sure he was on the field to play before the season started, and they sawed it off or something like that. I can't remember the procedure, but he was ready to go. And when the season started, that collarbone or whatever was grounded up. It's on Lambeau Field somewhere because he threw it on the field.
That'd be a good question to ask Dr. Crow.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up again.
What in the world did he do? Saw it off?
Yeah, there is a procedure.
That makes me hurt just sitting here.
Yeah, there was something. I'll have to listen to it again in a little bit here, but. All right, let's do some receiver defer. We got about 10 minutes to the top of the hour. I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, I do have football, but I'll start with basketball. I was watching the Bucks and the Spurs the other night, and I just think of this now. Receiver defer, doesn't their coach Popovich have enough money to hire somebody to trim his beard and hair. God, he looks like a bum. He looks like money James Campen would give him money. But anyway, receiver to anybody, he's been a great coach. Receiver to Fur, as I was watching this, Wembayama gets all the pub. But the receiver to Fur, Tim Duncan is the most underrated big man in NBA history. When you go back and look at, who was great, who did this, who did that. But Tim Duncan, is he the most underrated big man in NBA history? Receiver to Fur.
Now, when you say big man, are you referring to centers
these guys that are 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet.
Okay. Because it's funny you mentioned that. I saw, Chris Russo, Mad Dog, Chris Russo, and Stephen A. and that I don't know if it was recent. I just saw the video though, but they were debating whether Shaq was a top 5 center of all time, and Russo said no, and he actually put Duncan above him, and then they got into a debate about power forwards and centers, and
he was a 4-5, 4-5 Duncan.
Yep, I think later in his career is more that center because age, kind of down on the block there. I mean, it's hard for me, I think, to answer that because I grew up watching Duncan, and he was one of my favorite players. So I think personally, for me, I'd defer it. But I think overall, maybe a lot of people would.
I'm receiving it. I think
I would receive that.
I'd love Tim Duncan was one of the most versatile big men. He was a winner. He
Mr. Fundamental, man.
Fundamental. He never caused any kind of
bank shot off the corner.
Never caused any kind of controversy. He was great on the floor, off the floor. I'm receiving the fact that I think he is the most underrated big man in NBA history.
Would you think Shaq is a top 5 center? They were going through the list.
I knew you were going to ask me that. I think Shaq in his early days was. His later days, no. I think at later days, it was just unbelievable the way they'd let him back down. You couldn't play defense against the guy because he just backed down right over it and then throw the bat. I mean, he got position. What do they say about defensive position, on a charge? Well, he had position. Well, the guy had position on Shaq, but it didn't make any difference. The referees let Shaq do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
So in his early days, yes. But for a whole career, he's on the edge.
I know Russo was like, Moses Malone's better than Shaq, and they were just like, they were going nuts after that.
I don't know. It's, it's all in the eye of the beholder, I guess. But
yeah. I'm a Shaq guy, though, so I'd say yes. So big time Shaq guy.
Couldn't argue that either, especially his younger day. When he first came out, I mean, you look at the difference in his body when he first came out to Orlando, and then when he finished up with Miami and LA, completely different.
Yep. All right, what else you got there?
Okay, receiver to Fur. If Joe Barry stays with the Packers through the year and the defense is still bad, as it has been, could Matt LaFleur's job be in jeopardy?
I'll defer that. I don't think Matt LaFleur's job's in jeopardy. I do think, though, I'm a believer Joe Barry's done after this year for sure. He ain't back next year. But I do feel the next hire for LaFleur is going to be a job-defining hire. If he gets that wrong, then he's on the hot seat, or he's gone too.
Yeah, I just receiver. I won't go any further than that. Receiver to Fur. You're okay with the Packers, and if they keep Barry, I think this is what you're looking at. You're okay with the Packers stumbling the rest of the year to get better draft choice because I mean, you try and improve every week and you listen to LaFleur's comments, and I don't see where he said a thing yet about getting better. Same old comments, and like DeAndre Campbell, it's communication. I mean, you hear the same thing from LaFleur at every press conference, but if they stumble the rest of the year to get a better draft choice, are you okay with that?
Well, no. I feel like draft, I know a lot of people want the higher draft picks and that, but to me, I love the NFL draft. It's such a crapshoot, though. That doesn't guarantee you anything.
But the higher up you are in the draft,
you get a better chance to get those players, no doubt about it. So, I mean, the thing that I really think that LaFleur dropped the ball on was before the season, not bringing in another veteran defensive assistant. So then you would have that natural progression to let Barry go. Like you knew going into this year, Joe Barry was going to be on the hot seat. And to not prepare for that possibility to have somebody else to go to, I think falls squarely on the shoulders of Matt LaFleur. Like, years prior, they had Jerry Gray on staff, who was a former defensive coordinator. You could go to that guy then if you made a move. Not doing that in the offseason, not adding somebody on there is straight up on LaFleur's shoulders, and this is where the position he's at because he doesn't have anybody he can hand play calling to. So, I mean, Green Bay wins out. They got a 95% chance of making the postseason. If you want to, according to the New York Times.
Oh yeah, I don't argue that a bit, but
I don't like losing, so I'm going to
defer
got about
as much chance of getting in the Super Bowl as the Blue Gold football
and
team.
I don't, and I'm going
to
the Chicago game, so I don't want to lose to the Bears and Lambeau, so I'm going to defer it. So,
but everything you're saying is the fact that I think LaFleur's job should be in jeopardy because of a lack of prior preparation. With this Barry situation. I mean, in the last few weeks, it's been deteriorating at a tremendous rate. And, you're saying that LaFleur didn't have a provision in his plans for this. And does that make him the leader that you want of the Green Bay Packers? I mean, I'm just throwing this out there.
I want him as my coach right now.
All right. Well, that's fine. But
he has not.
Has he shown what impresses you about him being your coach? Because from the defensive side of the ball, I don't think he's been very good at all as far as,
Well, he's an offensive-minded coach. So
I know, but he's a head coach.
Number one question we had heading into this season that every Packers fan had, the task that Matt LaFleur had that was on his plate was, is Jordan Love going to be the starting quarterback for the future? And right now, Jordan Love has surpassed expectations. He has molded Jordan Love into a starting quarterback. That was his number one task. I know he is a head coach, and he overlooks the whole operation. That is his downfall. He got that one wrong. Is that a fireable offense after having a 6-14 winning percentage? You're going to the whole debate now where people are going back and forth. Well, that was Aaron Rodgers, but yet the same people want Aaron Rodgers gone. So which one is it?
But
is it LaFleur? Is it Rodgers?
But does this expose a flaw? Because he had Rodgers that covered up a lot of the flaws for the defense. For the defense until last year, of course, Rodgers, I don't think his heart was in it.
Mm-hmm.
But he covered up some flaws in that defense. And did LaFleur not realize this? I'm just throwing this out because I want LaFleur. I think LaFleur is a pretty good coach too. But does he? Did he drop the ball? And can you afford to have a head coach that drops the ball? When obviously even last year, I mean, people have been calling for Barry's head for quite a while, not just the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we're fans and we're not in the building though either, too.
Right.
I mean, if I do believe LaFleur's job is on the line heading into next year, I think he's on the hot seat.
You do.
Because he's got to get that defensive coordinator pick right. And to me, that's what's going to make this offseason intriguing when he makes that pick. Does he go, quote, safer route and brings in a coordinator that's got experience, or does he go with an up-and-coming coach that everybody's so excited about, Jim Leonard? I don't think Jim Leonard's going to be the guy, but everybody wants him to be.
I know.
I think that ship has sailed.
I think that's gone too.
Yeah. So does he go with
never say never?
Does he go with a younger, up-and-coming, stock so high, but doesn't have experience? Because I feel like LaFleur also knows his job could be on the line with this hire. So does he go with a, quote, safer route? Or does he go maybe with a coach that, hey, that ceiling could be incredibly high, but there's a lot of risk because there's nothing behind that?
And I know the coach is LaFleur, the head coach, is going to be ultimately responsible for this, or he's going to be the face of this decision. But is this 50-50 LaFleur Gutekunst, 75-25 LaFleur to 25 Gutekunst as far as this choice is concerned? Because I think Gutekunst has to be in this equation too, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's I don't know how that structure goes over there, whether he has a lot of say in it or not. But I would think he would probably voice his opinion to LaFleur saying, hey, I'm investing all these picks in the defense. We're investing all this money into these guys. What the hell is going on right now? I can't keep giving you guys players if you're not utilizing the talent the proper way, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's a great discussion to have. And, like I said, I think the only agreement we have is Barry's got to go.
I think he's gone. I really think he's gone. I think that his fate is sealed. And I truly believe if they had a guy like Jerry Gray still on staff, he would have been gone by now. And that's a fault on LaFleur for not having that veteran on there. All right, third hour kicking off right now. Final call for any outdoor questions for Jake Bolks, our conservation warden. Coming up in about 25 minutes. So text us those questions, 715-830-1912. Another article up at The Athletic, this one from Mike Sando, who's their all-around football writer, talking about Jordan Love and the parallels between Love and Rodgers in their first season starting statistically wise. You know what? Another one that, since we were just talking about defense, was after that 08 season too, when Mike McCarthy fired their defensive coordinator and brought in a guy named Dom Capers in 09 too. So might be another parallel to that as well.
Well, I think we all know it'd be shocked if Joe Barry wasn't gone.
Yeah. Some executive quote, some other NFL executives, their quotes on Dak Prescott. The flashes Love has shown are unbelievable. Body of work still not consistent enough. One executive said, do they even know what it looks like to miss on a quarterback? They have seen other teams go through it, but are they humble enough to say this could be us? I think they are very happy with their path. You can be happy with your path and also be aware of it. Hey, this path might not lead us where we want to go. Both things can be true. Another executive with Love's valuation, I don't think there's enough information to put him in the right category, so I would ride it out. You are happy to, they're talking about kind of a new contract for him. You are happy to pay it if there's improvement. There are too many ebbs and flows. You want to look at numbers-wise between Love and Rodgers so far. At this point in time in the season, Love 6-8, Rodgers, his record was 5-9 with that Packers team. Completion percentage, it's up for Love, and he's within 1 point of what Rodgers was. Rodgers was 63.5. Love now up to 62.6. Yards, very similar, 3,470 for Rodgers, 3,368. Yards per attempt, very close to 7.4 for Rodgers. Love, 6.9. Touchdown interception ratio, Rodgers was 23-12. Love, 25-11. And rating, 91.8 for Rodgers, 90.8 for Love right now. I think it's, I know the numbers and statistics are out there, but since November, middle of November, we've seen, I think, a big improvement from Jordan Love at this point in time.
I agree. Yep.
Mm-hmm. You feel better? You feel better about Love than what you did?
Oh, absolutely.
At the beginning?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I would like to see him do, though, is use his legs a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him be a little more flexible, and really use his legs and see that he needs to use his legs earlier in the play, because a lot of times when he does move, it's too late. But that's a growing situation. He's going to grow into some of that stuff, no question about it. But no, from where he was earlier in the season, and if the defense, if the defense hadn't been so horrible, 6-8, he should be 9-5.
Yeah.
You look at the teams they lost. You look at Atlanta. Desmond Ridder was an all-pro against the Packers. He can't even. They're benching him. And you look at Tommy DeVito, and it just, you lose to the Raiders. I mean, there's 4 games there that they should have won without question. Mm-hmm. Instead of being 6-8, they could be fighting for the division.
Yeah.
And I put that more on the defense than I do Love. And of course, he hadn't had his receivers. Watson, what do you do with Watson? You can't give him a big contract because you can't get him on the field.
At least you got a couple of years to think about that one.
Yeah, I know it. But I mean, still, it's a concern. I think he's going to be a really good receiver. He's already a good receiver, but I think he's going to get better. But you can't tie up a lot of money in a guy that's not in uniform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I feel a lot better. I hope a lot of Packers fans feel better about Love at this point.
I do. He's got to get more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
His ball sometimes he misses too many wide open receivers. But I'll tell you, God, I'm impressed with his young tight end that he's starting.
Tucker Kraft now.
Yeah, he's starting to use a tight end, and boy, that opens things up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So. You've seen some good things. There's no question. Improvement on the offense, improvement in some of these offensive players. And, I think they're going to get better, but they got to stay healthy too.
Yeah.
I mean, Watson is frustrating because he's got some talent, but, I was there the day he fell down on the sidelines. And,
Oh, that Chiefs game, yeah.
yeah, I mean, how in the world can you get hurt falling down?
Well, I think his hamstring
Well,
grabbed, and that's why he fell.
Yeah, but still in all, he wasn't under any pressure. He was just running down the sidelines. He wasn't making a cut. He was just going down the sidelines. And how fragile is this guy?
But
I think Love has earned to keep getting his shot.
And I love that we're seeing him go down the field with the ball too, and it's not just dinking and dunking passes or anything like that. Dontavian Wicks, that rookie wide receiver, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, who now has vaulted into a top 5 favorite for my kid.
Oh, is he really? Good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I mean, there's promise, right? There's some excitement going on right there. So, it'll be interesting. I was thinking about this at the beginning of the year because I know, we're starting to wrap up 2023. When we go back to the beginning of 2023 and you look at some of our sports teams, I think a couple words would be excitement and unknown, kind of, to describe a lot of them. Badgers, we had just hired Luke Fickell, a lot of excitement surrounding that. Brewers, I feel like, is a big unknown almost every year.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Badgers football team. Can you say overhyped?
Yeah. Packers at the beginning of this January is like they were making that run to the postseason, but they were still disappointed. Like, wow, why are we at this point? Should be better. Bucks, I mean, they were rolling, first place in that. Now, as we get into 2024, closer, how would you describe, a couple words, the outlook of these Wisconsin teams coming up here? Excitement for Jordan Love's growth. Big unknown, though, too, for for Brewers, too, maybe at that point. Excitement for the Bucks, what they could do.
Exciting, but apprehensive because, like we said, if they don't play better defense, they're not going to win a title. So I'm excited, and they're fun to watch, but I'm apprehensive, too, that they got to play better defense.
Yeah. Badger basketball, I still don't – I'm curious to see when they get in the Big Ten portion of their schedule now.
Well, they're 1-0. They beat Michigan State right off the bat, and
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think for Badger basketball,
and I think the Store is going to make a big difference. I think he's going to, he plays. He's not a typical Badger because, like we said earlier, they run that offense and it's pass, cut, pass, this and that. Store gets the ball and he'll pass it. He's got a hold of the basket. He's going. He's not afraid to look at the basket, and that's one of the things that's been so frustrating about the Badger basketball team the last 3 years. They got too many guys that don't look at the basket, and so I think with Store there, he's doing that. And I think that young freshman guard is doing
Blackwell,
that. Yep, and so they got some opportunity there. I think they can be pretty good.
I think it'll be a battle between them and maybe like Illinois for second place in the Big Ten. Purdue. Yeah, probably going to be at number 1 and that, but it should be. I'm really curious to see how they do in the Big Ten portion of their schedule now.
Yeah, I think we all are. I think we all are because I don't know how good the Big Ten is. I really don't. Purdue is Purdue, but Michigan State. What are they? How good are they going to be? And Michigan, where are they at? Some of these at Northwestern. Can they win some games? They won.
They beat Purdue, and then they just lost the other night.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, they lost a game they should have won against Chicago State.
That's what it was. Yep.
And but so it's going to be unknown. The Badgers beat Marquette and pretty handily, pretty easily, and Marquette's one of the top teams. Although Marquette got beat by Providence, as you were saying earlier. But so college basketball, they're kids.
That's a fact.
Yep, it is, and that's why you never know.
But I'm just kind of looking, because Wisconsin actually did drop down a little bit in the rank. They dropped down 1 spot, but Virginia was 22, but they just got dominated by the 23rd ranked team in the country, Memphis. So, it's kind of all over the board right now. And Northwestern dropped from the 25, obviously, too, with their loss. So,
this time of the year, before the conference season starts, I think the Badgers are in pretty good place because they beat Marquette and who else? Another quality win.
Virginia in the tournament.
When Virginia was up. And so, if you can put some of those on your resume before you get into your conference season, that helps when it gets down to that selection Sunday.
Yeah, their first second conference game, but the start of their Big Ten portion of the schedule is going to be Iowa day after New Year's on the 2nd. there. So, and yeah, I never know what to expect between those Iowa games.
Yeah, you never do.
Between
Iowa
Fran and
Iowa
company.
can score 103 or they can score 53.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been some upsets in college hoops a lot lately here too. So, kind of some weird ones over there. But that's why I love college hoops. Doesn't matter if you're ranked number one. You could lose any given nights.
Yeah, exactly.
You can lose anytime. So, all right. Bucks also back in action tonight too. If you want to listen to that game, you can right here at 105.1 FM and 790 AM. 7 o'clock tip time. Although we know they never start on time, which boggles my mind. You got a big old clock. Just do the countdown and make sure everybody's set, for crying out loud. So it's going to be like 7:10, but coverage will begin at about 6:30. 6:30 on these radio dials. So they will be looking for their 6th straight win. What else do we got on the docket here before we get to Mr. Jake Bolks here? Last call for any questions. I got a couple of them to get to get to Jake, so appreciate that. But keep texting those on over right now. We talked a little Brewers here. It's actually, I feel like outside of the Ohtani one, it's kind of been quiet so far in free
I was just going
agency.
to ask you if I missed something, or I mean, Soto going to the Yankees and Ohtani and a few other ones. The trade yesterday, the Mets and the Brewers, but there hasn't been a lot of activity.
Yeah, does
Ray Snell have a
Blake Snell
from San Diego? Does he have a home? Has he been signed by anybody? There are some.
Nope, he's still a free agent.
High-priced players that are out there, so it has been slow.
I think one team too that I'm a little surprised it's kind of been slow on. I thought maybe the Cubs were going to go out there and make some splashy moves right away, but
they haven't even re-signed Bellinger. I wonder if they're going to do that.
I thought as soon as the Ohtani thing was done, maybe we'd have that gate kind of opening up a little bit more, but it's been kind of quiet, a little bit more quiet than I expected. And I know there's a couple other players out there that teams are kind of bidding on. The Mets and the Yankees, Yamamoto. Him coming over. There's apparently the Phillies have made an offer to him. Dodgers and the Mets are preparing bids. Yankees are potentially there. So I don't know if other teams, those big teams are waiting on that one now too. And then, it's whatever's left after that. But apparently now I'm kind of looking at some of the latest rumors. Blue Jays, have they emerged as the favorites for Bellinger? They were hotly talked about for Ohtani. So are they moving over to Bellinger? Says here that John Heyman reported that the Cubs and Blue Jays were the two, quote, likeliest teams for Cody Bellinger.
What kind of a number are they talking about for him? Do they say? How long? He's still a pretty young player.
Yeah, they don't have a number on here.
I don't know what kind of a number he would be getting, but I don't think a lot of people have speculated that the Ohtani signing had no effect on other free agents because Ohtani was so unique.
Yeah,
the rest of the market is down. I mean, Ohtani was an exceptional case, so I don't know what Bellinger. I don't know what the ballpark number is they're talking about Bellinger, but I don't think the Cubs can afford to lose him, can they? Making a big splash with Counsell coming in, the money they're paying Counsell. If they shortchange a player for the manager making $8 million, which is chump change compared to the star players, but I can't imagine they'd let Bellinger go because they need to make Counsell successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I saw here on MLB.com he is seeking a deal that is over $200 million.
For how many years?
That's what I'm opening it up right here. ESPN's Jeff Passan weighed in that. Okay, so the host posed a hypothetical contract, $210 million over 7 years as a benchmark for Bellinger. Jeff Passan said, "I think that's probably a little high. I don't think the Cubs are going to have an easy time forgetting the last 2 years." Bellinger struggled heavily before revamping his career on the north side. So that's one. Jeff Passan said 7 years, 210, a little high. Bob Nightingale predicted he would land somewhere between 100 to 150 million on his next deal. So
Yeah, and depending on the years, of course, depending on the years, but $30 million a year, that's more than he's worth.
Yeah, I wonder if like the 100 would it be 5, 6, and then you're about that 20 million per year.
That I think is more in the ballpark.
Because he signed that 1 year 17.5 for the Cubs this past year. So
The thing with a guy like that, he's got to go to a place that's, a good hitting park. He's got to go someplace where he can, Chicago's a good fit for him. Milwaukee would be a good fit for him outside of his pocketbook. He won't fit in Milwaukee, but he's got to go to, Boston. I don't know what Boston's waiting for to start signing people because they've got money, and the fans out there are getting a little bit anxious about putting a winner back on the field, a serious winner back on the field, and they haven't shown any interest in doing that for a few years. But Boston doesn't seem to be talked about in any of these high-priced free agents.
Not yet. So, but hopefully the hot stove will pick up here a little bit more at this point too. So, don't expect the Brewers to.
No, don't expect the
hot
Brewers to be in
stove
the conversation for any of that stuff.
Hot stove stuff out there. So, oh yeah, I was because I think MLB.com's even or even a lot of these baseball writers are trying to struggle because they're trying to fill in some content.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, these guys are available, or where's the bargains? Kind of coming through here too, and all that. Clayton Kershaw, is he going to be back with the Dodgers or not? Or is he going to go to Texas? That sort of stuff.
That was a lot of the speculation. He's going home to Dallas.
Yep.
But how much you going to pay him?
Right.
I mean, he's not I don't think he's a top tier pitcher anymore.
No.
By any means. I mean, who are
could he be like the Roger Clemens where he comes back halfway through the season for like the Yankees? Remember that whole ordeal?
Oh yeah.
Dodgers, I'll come back, I'll miss the first half and then come back in the second half sort of thing.
Yeah, don't want to go to spring training and you don't want to do that sort of stuff. But really and truly, Kershaw, I wonder if people will overspend for him because he is not dependable either, health-wise. So I don't know how much he's going to be worth.
I don't either. So, but yeah, well,
all it takes is one crazy owner.
It does. It does. We talked a little bit about the Badgers recruiting class in the first hour. They're 22nd overall in the country. I'm just seeing this too, not to completely switch over. Florida State calls a board of trustees meeting on Friday to discuss athletics' future. This is the school's first step in Florida State's attempt to eventually leave the ACC, according to Brett McMurphy. So, SEC, I'm assuming, moving over there.
Oh, I'm sure that's where they want to go. Because they blame the ACC as the reason they didn't get into the playoffs because it's such a weak conference. But again, I saw another report that said the ACC would have control of Florida State's media rights, media money, dollars for like the next 7 years. Well, you can't do that.
Wow. Well, what was it? Was it SMU? What conference were they trying to get in where that they were like so desperate they said you can have all the media rights for like the first 5 years? Like they just wanted to jump in, to the conference. Was it the Big 12? I think it was trying to jump into that one over there. But I'm just waiting for the day for that just to get down to like 2, 3, or 4 conferences, and then we're calling it good at that point. It's going to be weird because like basketball is so different. When I think of basketball conferences, I'm thinking ACC. Duke and North Carolina and those groups over there. Yeah, you got a little SEC with like Kentucky and such, but then Big Ten, the typicals over there too.
Oh, yeah.
Big East, that is nothing for football, but it's traditional for hoops. I don't necessarily want to see those go away.
No, I don't think any of us do. I mean, you still want the conferences to be strong. Football is so much money that it's a different animal completely. But again, and I think it's too bad if you get down to a couple super conferences. We're heading that way, but I don't like it. I still wish there was the old Pac-12, Big Ten, Pac-12, Rose Bowl, but everybody's got to, get more money.
Is the Rose Bowl your favorite venue you've been at to watch a game?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It was just the whole, the mountains in the background, that you always see on TV, and that whole area around it is in the valley there, whatever it is, and it was neat.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
How many Rose Bowl games have you been to?
Oh, I just been to one.
Just one?
Just the one.
What year was that?
Well, when we played Stanford, beat Stanford, Ron Dane was
okay. So Barry,
about 2000, 2001, something like that.
So Barry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Barry was a coach. Yeah.
Okay. So I wasn't sure if it was like one of the more recent ones where they lost or something like that.
No, it was just Stanford, and they beat Stanford.
All right. So, by the way, it is apparently a World Basketball Day. So, happy World Basketball Day.
Oh, good.
Today, this was from the NCAA. Today, we celebrate the inaugural World Basketball Day designated by the United Nations on the anniversary of the day the game was first played in 1891. All right. Did not expect the United Nations to declare a World Basketball Day.
No,
but
I didn't.
Here we are.
But you look at around the world, basketball is, soccer is the world game, but basketball is, you don't need a big field to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Put up a bucket on a pole like they did at Old Peach Basket when they started. You can play basketball any place.
Yep.
And so that's a good thing.
Yep. In the Basketball Hall of Fame, it all started 132 years ago today in a small gymnasium at Springfield College. To our GOAT, Dr. James Naismith, thank you for creating a lifetime of memories for basketball fans around the world.
I wonder who, I never heard this, and a lot of people probably haven't thought about it, but they had the Peach Basket, and they always had a guy standing there on a ladder to throw the ball back out. I wonder who invented cutting the bottom of the Peach Basket out so the ball would come all the way through.
Right?
You never hear that. Who was that? Dr. Naismith himself, or did somebody else have the Peach Basket, the bottom rod out, and the ball just came through and say, "Hey, that's a good idea,"
or it broke through on a shot or something like that?
So
too.
I don't know, but never hear how the Peach Basket, the bottom of the Peach Basket, was taken out so that the ball could come through.
I wish it'd be cool if somebody could invent a sport now, and like in 100 years, it's like a big thing too. Like, I feel like, are we ever going to invent a new sport?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Like, what would that be? I don't even know what it would
be. I have no idea.
I'm not creative like that to think of.
They've tried creating new sports, but
we should create our own new sport.
Well, we have to think about that.
Would it be?
That's a good question for the listeners.
Let us
know what your new sport is.
Should we invent on this World Basketball Day?
Yeah.
Ball sport, right? Got to incorporate a ball, maybe. I don't want some hand-to-hand combat. I'm not ready.
No,
I don't want to do that.
No, I don't want to have some variation on WWE.
You have to bust out your wiener putter maybe for our new sports or something like that.
Well, you never know. I'll tell you, something we haven't talked about, but I think pro golf is in trouble.
Did you watch the PNC?
A little bit.
Yeah, with the kiddos and stuff on there.
And that's fun to watch that. Mm-hmm. But I think pro golf is in trouble. I really do. It's getting to be, we talk about college football going after the money, but I don't think anybody's going after the money like pro golfers. And I'm
your boy John Rahm.
Yeah, he left. I'm not happy about that. But $600 million, I'd have left too. I will say that. But I think pro golf is in trouble because of the chasing the money, and this live situation. They're playing in shorts. They play 3 rounds. They got shotgun start. They got teams. Who in the world knows what's going on in live golf? And the PGA Tour, how many players are they going to lose? I don't know if they're done yet.
Mm-hmm.
But who do you want to watch? Every time Tiger played in a tournament, the ratings went up, the attendance went up. Rory, great a player as he is, to me, he's less than half the attraction of Tiger Woods because he hasn't lived up to the potential. Was he won 3 majors or something like that? And there's no Tiger on the horizon to save golf at this time. A lot of great players. I won't take that away from him. A lot of great players, but there's no Tiger Woods. And I think that's what golf needs right now with this divisiveness that's going on between the PGA and the Live Tour. Are they going to combine? How are they going to combine? Half the players going to be wearing shorts and half of them long pants. And are they going to be playing for teams and things like that? I think professional golf's in trouble because I've lost my enthusiasm for watching these. I'm going to go to the Tournament of Champions here in a couple of weeks over at in Hawaii and Maui, but is John Rahm going to be there? I don't know if he's going to be allowed to play in that tournament or not.
Yeah.
And you look at who's going to be there. I think pro golf had better be careful because people love to play golf, and I don't think that's going to change. But are they going to spend? And it's not getting cheaper to go to these tournaments either.
Right.
Are they going to spend money to watch who?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't care whether you're on the Live Tour or whatever. You know, Brooks Koepka, great a golfer as he is, he's sure no fan favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys don't have the personality that Tiger had. Rory's got kind of the personality, but he hasn't had the performance that, you know, that a lot of us, I think most golf fans thought he would.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Spieth is fun to watch. You know, he's talking to himself all the time, and he came on the scene and won all these majors, but he's dropped off talent-wise and performance-wise. I think pro golf's in trouble. I really, really do.
Mm-hmm. Before we take a break, a couple of you had said pickleball. We're looking for a new one. Pickleball's gotten more popular.
Oh God, is it ever? Yeah,
but it was invented
in the paper the other day. Chippewa Falls
and Lake Halley's got.
The officials broke ground on pickleball courts.
Yeah,
and things
1965
like that.
It was invented. I just looked it up.
Oh, was it really?
But it's exploded in popularity.
Oh, there's no question about that.
I'm
a
thinking
lot of places tennis courts are, you know, you
getting
got
converted.
10 tennis courts now. 5 of them are pickleball.
Yep. I'm talking like the movie Basketball, where they invented a brand new sport. I know that's your favorite movie. So.
Yeah, it is. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas Vacation.
Mine too. Mine too. I tell you, people talk about Miracle on 34th Street, which we grew up with, and that was fine, and all the rest of them. But I've seen it 3 times already this Christmas, this season.
Yep.
And I mean, Cousin Eddie and Uncle Louie. I mean, it's just hilarious, and I'll tell you, mine too.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll catch up with our good buddy Jake, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin, after these quick words.
That matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lake shores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
The fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
We are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
This New Year's Eve, come party where the cash is. Ho-Chunk Gaming Black River Falls is going to give you your lucky shot. Earn just 25 points and receive a light-up shot glass necklace. Hang on to that lucky shot because each shot glass has a number. Starting at 8 p.m., if your number's drawn, instant cash or rewards play is yours. 2 drawings per hour. A total of $700 in rewards play and over $5,000 cash, including the $2,024 cash prize at midnight. And between lucky shot giveaways, dance and party to live music from Gen X Jukebox.
If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my
This New Year's Eve is your lucky shot at Ho-Chunk Gaming Black River Falls. Cash, rewards play, live music, and fun. And why not make a night of it with our hotel casino package? Book your stay and for just $25 more, get $50 in rewards play to cut loose in a casino. Limit 2 casino package upgrades per room. It's your lucky shot for a happy new year from Ho-Chunk Gaming Black River Falls. See the rewards club for details. Must be 21 or over to play.
It's time to boost your career. Nestle Health Science, located on Nestle Avenue in Eau Claire, is hiring as they are adding 2 additional production lines to meet demand. Nestle offers great pay with production operators receiving up to $29.80 per hour after 90 days and maintenance mechanics receiving up to $34.77 per hour plus premiums and bonuses. Nestle offers you stability with a strong history of offering careers that pay a living wage and great benefits to people like you for over 30 years in the Eau Claire area. Want $500 to spend on your hobbies in addition to competitive health, dental, and vision insurance, plus more benefits and perks? Nestle offers that with their lifestyle spending account. Thought pensions were a thing of the past? Not at Nestle. They continue to provide a pension to both operators and mechanics, along with a traditional or Roth 401k with 4% company match. Go to nestlejobs.com to find current openings. That's nestlejobs.com.
Not only can you listen to your favorite radio show in the world, but now you can watch why everyone says Dan has a face for radio. Watch the Dan Kasper Show live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9. Answering your questions and giving you the tips you need to be successful and safe in the outdoors. It's time for your Outdoor Tidbits. Have a question you'd like answered by Jake? Send it to us, and we'll ask for you.
I think it's probably been since right before the opener. We actually got to catch up with Jake, so let's bring him on in. Good morning, Jake. How you doing, bud?
Morning, Dan. I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Not bad, buddy. Not bad. It's been a little bit. I guess to kind of recap, maybe here quickly, the deer gun season and even muzzleloader and such. I know the numbers were down, but from your perspective, was it still business as usual? Still pretty busy for you guys on your end?
Business as usual. So, which is a good thing. I don't doubt the numbers and the license sales and everything like that. There's no doubt, our core hunting population is getting a little bit older, and there's other stuff in the world to do besides hunting. But from a law enforcement warden perspective, there are a ton of people out still, and there's still a lot of deer being shot, harvested, nice ones, little ones, whatever you want. So I saw a pretty successful season overall, actually.
What's the biggest rack you saw? Biggest deer?
Oh, we still
got and put in the back of my truck. I'm not good at scoring, just nothing that I've got too far into, but it was, a big 10, 11 point deer, big, kind of typical type buck. But we saw a lot of people shoot nice deer as well. A lot of people getting first deer or doing deer drives and coming out with, I think we've talked about it before. I'm not a big buck aficionado. I like when people have success. I like when I have success. So sometimes when a guy walks out on public land with dragging a spike and he's happy, or a gal by any means, that's just as fun as seeing a trophy buck.
Mm-hmm. Hey, the numbers astounded me of the licenses from all 50 states and 27 foreign countries. Do you ever run into people from Lord knows where they come? 27, I can understand Canada, Mexico, something like that, but we're 27 countries. Where are they coming from?
The countries thing, I haven't seen too many, and I haven't seen too many different countries. I think I did check someone from Germany maybe a couple of years ago. Typically, it's people that grew up here or have family here, or kind of live here but work overseas and different stuff, where they come by, they buy that gun deer license and usually hunt like the opening day for that traditional aspect. A lot of times we don't get to check those guys because they're on private land or something like that. But like you said, Canada, Mexico, some of like the Dominican countries, and a lot of times it's retired individuals that maybe move out of the country and then come back for this traditional hunt.
Is that an out-of-state license, out of country, the same cost?
Yeah, the non-res. Yeah, it's all non-resident unless you live here.
Okay.
Quick note too on for deer season too, because we got bow season still going on until January 7th, but also coming up here is the antlerless only holiday hunt, open in only in select farmland zone 2 counties. So if you're in that area, you can still bust out the rifle for some antlerless hunts, right?
Well, you got to be real specific and make sure not every county has it. So you can't just assume you have the antlerless rifle hunt. So go to the regulations, take a look, find which counties have it. And then, that's a gun deer season. So anyone in those counties in the woods has to wear blaze orange and follow all the gun deer season regulations. And then any county that has the bonus antlerless hunt, most of them choose to extend the archery season then through January 31st. So most of those counties actually have an archery season that goes till basically February.
Gotcha. Now, just because I have it up on my phone here, the seasons, it says, under the archery and crossbow, no bucks may be harvested during the antlerless only hunts identified below. So like for this antlerless hunt, when it says no bucks may be harvested during the archery, is it during those zones or is it across the state? No bucks can be harvested.
Those counties.
Okay.
So any county that has it, gun or bow, you can't harvest it.
Okay.
But if you're in a county that doesn't have it, it's just regular late archery season.
Gotcha. So if you are in a county that has that antlerless holiday hunt, you want to go bow hunting, you still can't get a buck, right?
Correct.
All right. There you
go.
go.
So you might want to switch counties for that week because a buck, you can shoot a buck in any county. And if you have questions on it, again, always reach out to our customer service line or your local game warden so we can clarify it. I'd rather tell a guy he couldn't hunt before then than have to seize a buck or something like that.
Right.
If it's an accident.
Jake, are you seeing more activity out there now since we can't we can't go ice fishing?
Yeah, I am seeing a fair amount of late season hunter stuff like that, and I can talk for myself personally. Usually after Thanksgiving, I'm typically done hunting, but with the mild weathers, I've been doing some deer drives on public land with different friends and family members and stuff, and so it's kind of motivated me to keep going and just hunt. So I have seen more guys than usual deer hunting. Their cars are parked on the side of the road or in the forest, stuff like that.
Jake, speaking of ice fishing, I do know some people are going out there on the ice and attempting and having some luck over there. But what's it like, around here? And considering that we're going to get warmer temperatures, they're even talking about possibly 50 by the weekend.
I know, with a little rain. Yeah, that's not good for anything around here, unless you don't like ice. So the ice condition, you can get on some ice around here, especially if you go further north. There have been some like dirt bikes and small ATVs on Altoona. Now, I don't encourage that, but that just kind of shows the thickness of the ice. So you can get out and about, but with this early season and, the warm temperatures, I really encourage people, like if you're going out there, have a rope or something, and it may sound weird, but throw a life jacket on because you just never know what's going to happen. And I'd rather walk around with a life jacket on when I fall through than not have something.
Mm-hmm. Have you been out on the ice? Have you had to go out there yet and check anybody because they're out there?
Yeah, no, because I haven't got one yet. And then on some of the real kind of less come to me because I'm a bigger guy, and then when I put all my equipment on, I probably weigh in excess of 250 plus pounds, if not more. I'm pretty careful on that ice.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Jake, kind of a question here from James. Kind of not license or hunting or fishing related, but he said he's an avid wildlife photographer. Does the DNR have programs for people who want to photograph wild game? Are there photo blinds or info on animal ethics, locations, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, that's a good question. As far as like professional photography, I'm not aware of any programs where, you can sign up and utilize your skills or get paid or volunteer stuff for that. I'm not, but it's always worth reaching out. What I do know is that we have a program called Snapshot Wisconsin, which the DNR will give you trail cameras to put out on property or public land, and you kind of monitor the trail camera, send in pictures, send in data that you gather off it. And maybe as a photographer, you can talk with the Snapshot Wisconsin people, and they might have some options or ideas or ways you can help them with your photography. I actually see a lot of wildlife photographers in the state. It's pretty cool, and you can get some really cool pictures around here. The former Eau Claire warden, Scott Beatty, is a wildlife photographer, and I see him out and about, and I see his pictures in the outdoor news, and they're pretty cool, especially knowing like the otters he takes pictures of and different things are right here in Eau Claire County. So it's pretty cool. But I'm not aware of any program specifically besides that Snapshot Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. All right, good stuff right there. I know, trapping wise, how much has this weather affected trapping, or maybe not too much?
I know guys are still out there doing it. A lot of people wait for the snow and ice for, different beavers or bobcats or different things, depending on their preference. I've still registered plenty of bobcats. So people are still doing it. And if you have an early season tag, you got to go before the end of the year anyways. I would think that it's not ideal, especially if you're banking on running hounds and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still people out there, and at the end of the day, it's warmer, so at least you're not as cold. If you are spending more time out there, you're a little bit more comfortable, I guess.
Right, exactly. And I guess just to kind of wrap it up here, Jake, speaking of trapping, I know because sometimes, and this is something we talked about in the past, but if you happen to trap something that you don't have a tag for, or you're not trying to trap, best thing to call the DNR to come out there.
Yeah, if you get an incidental fur, so incidental otter, incidental bobcat, incidental whatever, definitely give us a call, because there's multiple trapper ed programs and learn to trap programs that we can get these animals to, where people can learn how to be trappers with real animals versus watching someone on a video or PowerPoint skin a raccoon or skin an otter. They can actually do it and learn the biology. So you're not in trouble. It's not a violation. You're not going to get a ticket if you turn in an incidental. Now, if you get an incidental and you do the old aerial burial and throw it in the woods somewhere or pound it into the mud, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But if accidents happen, we've mentioned it before. As a sportsman, sportswoman, whether it's hunting, fishing, trapping, mistakes will happen. Animals won't cooperate. So if something comes up, just self-report to your local warden or call the tip line and just say you got an incidental otter, you got 3 instead of your 2 or whatever, and we'll meet up and get those to a good home.
Perfect. He's Jake Bolks, conservation warden for the state of Wisconsin. Appreciate it as always, buddy. Always love catching up with you, man. And we'll catch up again soon. Have a very good Christmas too with you and the family.
Yeah, you guys too. Merry Christmas, both of you. It won't be so long in between talks this time, I promise.
All right, there we go. Appreciate it, Jake. Have a good one, buddy.
Yep. See you guys. Merry Christmas.
There you go. Jake Bolks, conservation warden, our good buddy there, answering your questions.
Nice to have Jake on, because we have so many people that are so outdoor oriented. Everybody thinks, winter, you shut down everything. No, we got a lot of people that winter is their time to shine.
Yep, exactly. Why do you think they want to get on the ice so quickly?
Right. Snowmobiling and cross-country skiing and snowshoeing and that's why we need snow in Wisconsin. I mean, it's nice not to have to shovel, but boy, we need snow. It just doesn't seem like Christmas without snow, and for a lot of other reasons.
Right.
That story I had on the news earlier about the driest we've been in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's we need moisture.
Yep. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll make some picks. Bucks game coming up tonight, all that good stuff. We'll be back after these few words to wrap up things. Let's wrap some things up by making some picks. It's our picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room here in Eau Claire. The Elbow Room now carries man cave lights. So if you're looking somewhere to catch one of these games and having a nice cold beverage, go visit the Elbow Room and marvel at all the sports memorabilia they got on the walls over there too. We've got Thursday night football. If you are one that is still holding on to hopes for a Packers playoff run or getting into the playoffs, you want to pay attention to this one. 2 7-7 teams that are currently above Green Bay in the standings. Green Bay has beaten one of them. That would be the Saints and the Rams tonight. If you want the Packers again, you got to root for the Saints tonight. So
didn't the Packers beat the Rams?
Oh, the Rams too? Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So there we go. But whoever loses, this will be a benefit for Green Bay. But who you rolling with tonight? Gonna pick the Saints, or are you gonna pick the Rams there, Bob?
I'm gonna pick the Rams.
Yeah.
The Matt Stafford's playing quarterback. They're hard to beat. I think Cooper Kupp is back, and they should be tough. They shouldn't be 7-7.
They're in LA too, so I'm gonna roll with the Rams in tonight's game. Then we've got the Magic taking on our Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are favored by 7.5 in this game. Bucks riding a 5-game winning streak right now. Orlando has lost 3 in a row. Still 4th place in the Eastern Conference standings right now. How do you see this one playing out, though?
Where are they playing?
It is in Milwaukee. Their final home game for a little bit here for the Bucks.
I'll take the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bucks here too. I think the Bucks get that win, and then the Bucks will be on the road here for a little bit, including a couple of games at the Knicks, including that Christmas Day game against the Knicks over there too.
At Madison Square Garden. That's a bucket list for me. In Madison Square Garden. I've only been in New York twice in my life, but I tell people you got to go to New York. You got to. It's the most important city in the world. You don't have to live there, but you got to go experience so you know what people are talking about when they talk about Wall Street and Empire State Building and everything that goes on in New York City.
Yep. Been there once in my life too.
Yeah, and I'm going back. I will go back. I think it's been a while, but and I've been to New York 3 times. I take that back because the last time I was there was that Yankee story I told you.
Oh,
yep.
Yep.
But it's such a unique city. It really is. And like I said, the most important city in the world. And, people say, I go to New York. Well, you don't have to live there, but go visit. It really is worth it.
Timberwolves are also back in action tonight after that loss last night to the 76ers. They're at home taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. Timberwolves favored by 6.5. Who are you going to roll with in this one?
I'm going with the Timberwolves.
I'll go T-Wolves too.
Yep.
Why not? Lakers just 15-13 and only 5-10 on the road so far this year.
Lakers are very hard to watch, very uninspiring. There's not much to that team.
Yeah. So I think Minnesota coming back home after that loss last night, they'll get the job done.
I think so too.
Get the job done tonight. So, and I think they cover. I think they win by.
And I think they've renewed Towns since he's got some help. I think he got frustrated the last few years. He's been the only dog in town, so to speak, and they got Gobert and they got some other help for him now. And I think that he's been inspired, rejuvenated. I think that team's going to be heard from before this season's over.
Yeah, they're performing, I think, a little bit above expectation. I think people thought, okay, playoff caliber team, but at this point in time where they're at 20-6, number 1 in the West. Last year it was looking, did that Rudy Gobert trade really work out? Was that a good trade or not? Questions about that. But, Anthony Edwards is one of the bright young stars of this league. Yep. Karl Anthony Towns doing his thing. Rudy Gobert, defensively down there. So, yeah, if you're a T-Wolves fan, you got to be feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah,
why not?
They've had a lot of heartache, so to speak. I mean, they're like the Vikings. They just over there, they just can't seem to get to the finish line.
Kind of forgot though. He's still chugging along and he's still playing. Mike Conley's still playing basketball with the T-Wolves over there.
He was always good. I remember when he was at Ohio State. And then he came to the pros. He always was a good player.
Solid player.
Solid player, yeah.
Yeah, he's averaging 11 points and over 6 rebounds so far this year. So, all right. We only got a couple minutes left here. This will be the last time I chat with you for a bit. Probably over for a month. I won't be here next week, so then I won't see you for over a month now, man.
Right. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully the Packers will make the playoffs. I don't know, maybe take Joe Barry to Lourdes and have him reincarnated or something and come up with, it's so frustrating to watch. I mean, you're beating a dead horse because he's going to be gone. But, you can't play prevent defense from the beginning of the game. That's what his defensive backs are doing. And, is it a communication problem because they don't know what the defensive backs don't know what the defensive front is doing? Are they blitzing? Are they holding back? I mean, it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see a little more aggressiveness out of that defense. They always blame the defensive backs, and but is it justifiable because you don't know what the defensive front seven is going to do?
Mm-hmm.
It really is frustrating. So hopefully we can find some wins here at the end of the year and at least get a shot at the playoffs.
Right. Think your Badgers are going to pull it out for the bowl game on New Year's Day? LSU.
Well, I'm hoping you got a better chance now that the Heisman Trophy winner is not going to be there. I don't know what they've got for a backup, but again, they've got to step it up. I mean, their defensive line, the linebackers, Turner, he's gone, which I don't think is a big loss. I was disappointed in him all year. He wasn't a difference maker. They really got hurt this year with their linebacker play. I mean, you look at the linebacker play for so long, was so standout. And, and the thing is, we'll know the offensive line, in 79 and 71, when they don't get false starts or one holding between them in the game, they're good. So if the two tackles don't mess up, so to speak, or follow their path that they had all year, then they got a good shot. I think Mordecai came back kind of rejuvenated. We're going to be without receivers, but we'll see. That's why they play the game.
By the way, DK, you know where he went?
No.
Reunited with Graham Mertz. He's going to Florida. So,
well,
there you go.
Get some more
familiarity. Yep.
Well.
All right. Have a good rest of your day. DP and the Danitz, they're up next. We'll be back tomorrow. Festivus show tomorrow. Get you ready for airing your grievances.